Give it till 48. Just a second, okay? Throw that up. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and unmute everything, count to 10, and then we're gonna switch to live feed.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tyler Dittmer, for you live from the NRE Power Systems Truck Series Recruitment Race number 2 here at Talladega Superspeedway in Talladega, Alabama. Tonight I'll be joined in the booth by my colleagues Brady LaBeouf and Jeff Sickles, and our producer tonight is Cody Knott. When you think of Talladega, you think of excitement, danger, chaos, and unpredictability. And hopefully we'll see some of that tonight as these drivers do battle here on this 2.66 mile super speedway. Built originally in 1968 with the first race in 1969, won by Richard Brickhouse. This 2.66 mile super speedway has 33 degrees of banking in the corners and 16 and a half in the tri-oval. And the Alabama Gain super stretch on the back is over 4,000 feet long. Tonight, these drivers will do battle in trucks as they prepare to try and get themselves into the NRE Power Systems Truck Series. We're looking for a great race tonight, and at this time, I'd like to bring in my fellow booth mate, Jeff Sickles. Jeff, you've raced here many times in our Triple M Pulling Truck Series on Friday nights. What does it take to get around this place? Is it more about survival, or can you race your way to the front?
It's 100% about survival here. You gotta have a truck that's clean, not damaged, and usually you need to find a partner to tango with to be able to get up to the front towards the end. So I'm interested to see after last week's recruitment race number 1 that we had. Early on, we saw a lot of wrecking. So I'm going to see it's a little bit different game here. It's going to be tight pack racing around this track. Fast, fast, fast is the name of the game. So I'm interested to see who's going to keep it clean and be there at the end.
And that is just a huge thing about super speedway racings is being there at the end. As you look here on our weather heads up, the track temperature is 126 degrees Fahrenheit, and that means that it is slick. Light wind should not affect these trucks too bad. Weather should cool off as the afternoon moves on here, but it is going to be hot and slick, and these drivers are going to have a handful. Jeff, as we're about to roll into qualifying here, do you believe in qualifying here, or are you I'll just start in the back and we'll ride this one
out? I used to be a guy that would be no qualifying. Let me start in the back. Just hang in the back, see what happens. Lately, though, that my idea has changed. Every time I sit in the back and get into these races, I feel that sometimes that's where the wrecking happens. So my new strategy has been to qualify, see how I qualify. If I qualify towards the front, kind of stay there, see what happens. And if qualifying mid to late pack, I'll usually try to find a group to stay back with and try to avoid any wrecks I can. And if it's stages set up, try to not really make any moves till the third stage. And like I said before, try to be there for a push and some help at the end.
I agree. As we look forward to tonight's race, we already have William Rice here on the track getting his qualifying laps in. Important to note, 75 lap race. Stage 1 will be 15 laps. Stage 2 will end at lap 35. So after caution laps taken account, it should be about another 15 lap stage. Thick setup as always here in the NRE Power Systems Truck Series. These drivers are just pedal down on the floor here in qualifying. I see William Rice is going to get a nice high run coming up. Jeff, what is your strategy here in
Strategy is always, especially here at the super speedways, a big track like this, your outlap is going to be ride the high line, build up that speed, get all the way around the track once to you're pretty much as fast as you can go. Then on my next lap, my second lap, is where I'm going to head down, as you see William do here, is head down and hug that yellow line, get the shortest way around the track, and hope for the best and hope we get that quick time.
Yep. As we look, though, just fun little stats and history of the Truck Series at Talladega. There's only been 16 races here. The first one in 2006 was won by Mark Martin, who used to just dominate the lower series while still running in the Cup level. Fastest ever pole time was 186.8 miles an hour by Tyler Reddick in 2014. So a driver that is now one of the major players in the Cup Series has been able to get it done in the Truck Series. Interesting fact, though, to note with the Truck Series at Talladega is there has never been a margin of victory greater than a tenth of a second, the largest margin of victory being 7/100ths of a second, with their winningest driver in the Truck Series being Timothy Peters here at Talladega with 3 wins of 16 races run. Because right now we're looking, Crawford has gone top of the board with a 56 flat. Should be interesting to see how tight these guys are. I mean, you don't expect a big gap when you're watching truck qualifying at a super speedway. Like you said, Jeff, it is just pedal down, get to that yellow line, and hug it all the way throughout.
And that stat you said before, that spells excitement at the end. You just got to be there, survive. Don't try anything too stupid early, but know that it's going to be inches, sometimes millimeters, centimeters at the finish line to determine who's going to win this race.
And it really is, especially in these super speedways, as we see CJ Fonda from Nashville, Tennessee, in his Toyota Tundra number 23 making his qualifying lap. Fonda, after his first lap, is 5th on the board with a 56.04. Crawford still with that 56 flat, looking pretty. Those times to probably update soon. Ronnie Derrick, though, now currently in 2nd with a 56.01, so that 56.12, a little bit behind. His second lap was a tick faster. Seems like we've had a couple drivers just turn it down to the inside. Do you think that there's much value in that second lap? Or do you think, once that first lap's done, you kind of just move on?
I feel like you're still using that first lap to build up your speed. It's really going to be, a lot of times, your second lap's going to really determine where you're going to stand as far as your qualifying position. Obviously, once the race starts, that kind of goes out the window pretty much. But if you can get yourself to the front few couple rows, you might try to stay there. If stage points, the regular season race or something, you might want to stay up there and fight for those top 10 stage points. But yeah, that second lap, I feel is very valuable.
So we're riding on board here, looking at Raul Meza. His first lap, he went P14 in that 37 Chevy Silverado. Meza's a regular in the Triple M Truck Series on Friday nights, and kind of surprised he's not running in our alternative Cup Series tonight. But it's great to have some regulars out here to show these guys coming in, just some of the talent level that there is, and maybe getting, making friends and finding drivers you want to work with. It looks like Meza did not improve on that second lap. He's dropped to 14th now after other fast laps have come in. Still, though, Crawford maintaining that P1 position. And when you look back at races in the NASRA series with the trucks at Talladega, you don't have to look too far back. Only 4 weeks ago, the Triple M Pulling Truck Series was here at Talladega with Justin Lumpkin taking home the win, Chris Blanchard in 2nd, and Jacob Earnhardt in 3rd, in an absolute nail-biter down to the line. And Jeff, I would say you didn't have a bad day either. You came in 10th.
Absolutely, it was one of my better races in quite a long time. I'm not gonna admit that I am gonna admit I'm not one of the front runners usually, but I use that strategy. I had teammates that wanted to go to the front early, and I said, "You guys do what you want to do. I'm sticking in the back." There was a couple wrecks that happened. I was able to avoid them. I had a clean truck. For the most part, little damage front from I think bumping into somebody in a checkup earlier on. But I was there at the end. I could have pushed it, but my teammate Justin Lumpkin was out front and had some help. I didn't really want to go to that high 3rd line and really mess up his run. So I hung in there and held on for the 10th.
And it really was an exciting race. I can't comment much about the end of it, as I didn't get to see that end after being involved in an accident that ended up with my motor expiring. But that race only saw 5 cautions, including 2 which were stage breaks. So definitely a lot of excitement, but we've had clean-ish races here in the past, and hopefully we'll get one tonight. Although it is important to note that only 17 of the 39 drivers who took the green flag that evening actually finished on the lead lap. As we're winding down to the last 3.5 minutes, some drivers are still out here trying to make fast laps. Max Bryant here using that high side to really generate momentum coming off the corners. Jeff, you think he might be able to put a top lap up there?
I don't know. By the looks of it, I don't think anybody's touching that 56 flat. Not sure. You know, like I said, a lot of these guys are new to us. But we have a couple, like you mentioned, a couple of the Friday night regulars, which will be a good gauge to see. We know how those guys run, so it's a really good gauge for us to see where some of these new guys might match up.
Speaking of which, Max Bryant goes P5 there with a 56.03. Just a really, really tight grouping up there in the front. Less than a tenth of a second from the first to 12th. It looks like even 13th. So these drivers are really putting in quick laps and really competitive. But as we know, once the race starts, the draft is king. And none of this really matters.
Absolutely, you want to find some help, find some friends, and kind of feel it early on. These drivers are going to have to feel each other out, see who can hold their line, who's going to be okay to put your front bumper on them. We've seen last week, if you put that front bumper on the rear bumper and it's not completely lined up, things happen, and that truck gets squirrely and turns really fast on them.
It does. It seems that iRacing, when they updated these trucks, these bumpers don't necessarily match up the same way they used to. Right now, we have had 22 drivers turn in a qualifying lap, but I'm sure there are many more who are opting for that option you used to take and not really run the qualifying laps, try to stay in the back and make it to the end. It's important to note we have 3 drivers from the Triple M Pulling Truck Series tonight in the field. Kyle Hess, Huck Wigington, and Raul Meza. Right now, Huck Wigington qualified so far P18, Raul Meza P16, and it looks like Kyle Hess will not turn a lap and will start in the back. I can't necessarily say I blame him with how these races kind of go early on when you're racing with guys you don't really know.
Tyler, you said before about the update with iRacing and how the bumpers don't match up like they used to. It's not as easy to give that push. Do you think that's more related to the difference in the 3 different manufacturers' front ends?
I would say yes. If you really look at those Toyota Tundras, it seems like their noses are a little bit more rounded off than the Chevys and the Fords, the Chevy Silverado and the Ford F-150. So, especially I feel like if you're not with another car of the same manufacturer, it can be kind of a difficult thing to deal with. See Max Bryant, I think he's just now making laps, trying to get comfortable fielding the truck out. It looks like no one else will be making a time lap in the last 36 seconds we have here. Important to note, fastest lap in practice went to Schneider with a 51.556. So a really quick lap there from him. But qualifying laps, no draft, 56.0. As you see, Joseph Schneider for practice times, 51.557. Kyle Hess was 3rd fastest. That's notable to keep track of. Raul Meza 5th. John Tricarton, important to note that he ran 58 laps in practice. I mean, almost the full race distance. I don't know about you, Jeff, but I wish I didn't play or didn't run 58 laps in practice, especially at Talladega.
Yeah, we're going to see if it's going to help him out or if he's tired out after all that. But these practice laps really shows you the big difference between running in a group versus a single truck run.
As we see here, our poll winner is Jimmy Cropper with that 56.004. Ronnie Derrick less than a 100th of a second behind, finishing off your front row there with William Rice, Adam Collins, Max Bryant, CJ Fonda, Brian Chu, Charles Keller Jr., Jason Stevenson, Jonathan White, Chevelle Presley, and Scott Patza rounding the 12, all really, really close. Hopefully we can see further down in the field and see how everyone else lap times is. But hopefully we have a really competitive field today. A lot of drivers hopefully can race clean, have a clean competitive race. But obviously we want that excitement. We want these drivers to really push the envelope. Jeff, as we've talked about, Talladega just being such a wild track, are you ever really comfortable in that? If you are, is there a certain position you want to be in? Do you want to be out front, maybe on the bottom, on the top? Where do you feel is the most comfortable position to be in a pack race at a track like this?
For me, give me the bottom line. I like, kind of using the yellow line as a marker of where I'm at. Keeping my eye, if I'm not out front, keeping my eye on the rear bumper of the truck in front of me. Making sure nothing crazy's going on, hoping the guys in front of me, the drivers in front of me can maintain their line. Anywhere in the field, I do feel pretty comfortable, as like I said, as long as everybody's keeping their line and kind of keeping their space. How about yourself?
I'm always a fan of going to the front, and again, just going back over that top 12: Crawford, Derek, Rice, Collins, Bryant, Fondon, Chu, Keller Jr., Stevenson, Wiley, Presley. That's your top 12 qualifiers. Uh, then we have Barnett, Larson, Ferg, Raul Meza, Brian Crocker, Huck Wigington, Anthony Reiner, Tyler Thurman, Cody Sanderson, Michael Garner, Brady LaBeouf, and Elijah Brown in the top 24. Further on back, you have Kyle Hess, Tristan Rogers, Dan Matthews, Joseph Snyder, CJ Moon, Robert Breen, Curtis Rogers, John Tricardin, Steve Tattersall, Scott Higbee, Spencer Pensive, and Adam Kalufa. Large field tonight. Hopefully, we can all keep it clean as those trucks start rolling off. As you said, being on the bottom, I agree with you. I like to be on the bottom or in the front. I think that safety that you mentioned earlier is a huge thing at Talladega. You see a wreck in front, you take the 1X going through the grass versus, being involved in a wreck and ruining your day early.
All right, Tyler, you read off all those names, all right? So who are you picking to win this race?
Oh, that is tough. I'm going to go with Huck Wigington. Finished 8th here at Talladega in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series. Doesn't like to run in the pack. He'll run in the back, keep his truck clean, and make it to the end. I think Huck Wigington will get it done though tonight. Jeff, who's your pick early on?
I'm gonna go with, I think it's the number 23 machine. He had the Ghostbusters paint scheme. Is that
CJ Fondon? Yep,
CJ Fondon. No other reason besides a giant Ghostbusters fan.
That's fair, especially when Talladega. Maybe analysis isn't necessarily needed to pick who's going to be there at the end. Hopefully, once Brady gets in here with us, he can tell us his pick, and hopefully he won't curse his drivers like he did last week at Michigan.
I was going to say, Brady will be here shortly to curse whoever he picks, and this race is about to get going. What are we looking for early on here in the first stage, Tyler?
I think you just want to get laps in. I don't think you want to push the envelope. I mean, I don't know what you're looking for here, Jeff. As a focus on the driver's side, are you looking to maybe find a dance partner early on you can trust, or are you just focused on logging laps and making it to the end?
I'm going to log laps, maybe try to stay behind a pack, see who's doing what. And in the meantime, our producer, Cody Knott, just sent us his pick as well. He's going with his teammate on Friday nights, Raul Meza.
And that's a very fair pick. Another Triple M Truck Series driver who can find his way to get it done at the end. As we come into the Geico restart zone there, Jimmy Crawford leads the field to the green. Derek right next to him as they are 2 by 2 by 2. No one taking it 3 wide early on here as they come down the front stretch into turn 1. And a very calm start. Not a lot of bumping and shoving, it seems, up front. That 7 truck is right behind Crawford, but he's not going to overdo it here. A few drivers, though, that we aren't from the Triple M Pulling Truck Series, I think we should keep an eye on tonight. Cody Sanderson in the 014. Obviously, CJ Fondon, as you said, in the 23. Matthews in the 38. Jonathan Wiley in the 114. All raced with us last week and all had relatively good days, at least until Brady jinxed Matthews.
Absolutely, and we see here that the front group's kind of splitting away a little bit, and then the second group forming not too far behind them. Maybe that's the group that's going to hang back and see what this front group's going to do here.
I feel like a lot of drivers had the same idea that you had, and Jeff wants to log laps and just watch how this plays out. Unfortunately, though, when there's that many back there, that could also breed its own type of chaos. And you're never really safe in a place like Talladega. Some impressive side drafting there out of the 0-7. Really putting it on the door of the 7 there. When you see the side drafting like that, Jeff, what are your thoughts as the driver when you're trying to get down there on that quarter panel? Are you just trying to maybe break up the 2 that are together, or are you just trying to pull that one driver back? Why do you see these drivers make such aggressive moves inside there?
You just really want to slow that inside line down. Use that to your advantage and start. Usually, you see here that outside row. It does seem to take a while to form up, but once it forms up and you start using that side drift, that outside line is usually be able to get their momentum forward and usually at least push the guy out front ahead and clear of the inside line.
And it is 2 by 2 by 2 all the way through the field as they go through 1 and 2 again here on lap number 3. Looks like that bottom row is just a little bit more organized than the top right now. The third driver in line seems to get really tight to those front two, but looks now like that outside line is kind of gathering itself back up again, and maybe he's trying to make a push back to the front.
Yep, and that's what you usually see here, especially with a bunch of new guys driving. You don't know who does what people like to do. Like I said before, if they can hold a line or not. It really takes a couple guys to head up to that top line, really get comfortable with one another, form up, and then make it push to the front. And here we see the 07 just starting to do that now.
Ronnie Derrick gets his nose out ahead of Jimmy Crawford there at the line. It's going to be Crawford will lead that lap still. No change in order as Crawford has led every lap so far early on going. But that 07, like you said, is really starting to get that nose out in front like they hadn't been doing before. But now it looks like they've kind of fallen back. It looks like a couple cars got jumbled up in the back of the pack, 3 wide, and they're going to keep going straight there. But it seems like this pack is racing relatively clean, a lot calmer start to a race than we had last week at Michigan. Wouldn't you say, Jeff?
Absolutely, and happy to see it. Last week, early on, we had Rex, I think, even on lap 1, and that kind of played, that was the theme throughout the race, resulting in very few cars being able, in contention for the win at the end. But hopefully it stays that way, and I think we got Brady in the booth now, as you see a couple trucks almost go 3 wide. Brady, who are you going to pick to ruin the race tonight?
Oh man, it's a tough one. I'm gonna be biased and go with my pick, Kyle Hess. I know he's a safe driver. I know he's gonna ride in the back for a little bit and just kind of let this thing play out. So I'm gonna go with Mr. Kyle Hess with Mission 1 Esports.
I figured you would take your teammate as as most of us took last week. Didn't seem to pay off for anyone else except for me. So we'll see how well these driver picks end up this time. But as we are now on lap 5, drivers coming into 3, coming into 4 now. That outside line has fallen apart. And when you drivers see this in the path and you're in that outside lane, are you just trying as hard as you can to get to the bottom? Or are you going to maybe force the issue and try to get?
I'm looking, if that outside line's breaking up, I'm going to start looking for a hole down in the bottom line, or even just head to the back and tuck on in and then wait till it reforms. How about yourself, Brady?
I completely agree. It's tough because you want to have the numbers, and typically a bunch of guys like to run the bottom here, so I'm going wherever they got the most numbers.
And right now those numbers are on the bottom as Jimmy Crawford has just controlled the field from the green flag, pole sitter, led every lap, and no one's really challenged except for, Ronnie in that 07. But he's going to get it right. We have a big crash here into 3. Cars in the fence. Actually, it looks like only a handful of drivers involved, but the caution flag is out. And we'll get to a Pulse Popper instant replay there to see what happened. But it seemed like a little bit of chaos there.
As we pull up the replay here, it did look like I saw the 24 go sideways and into the wall, and I don't know if he bounced off the wall after that, taking out a couple other trucks. Not really sure how many are going to be affected here, but here's the replay now.
It looks like just 4 wide, and that was not going to work, and the 24 involved, and that car is up and over on its lid into the fence, and that's going to be a tow. That's unfortunate for that driver's day already.
We had it last week, and kind of may play into how aggressive these drivers get. Typically on our Friday night series, we don't get a fast repair for these races. Are these drivers getting a chance to do a fast repair tonight?
They are. There is one fast repair for this evening's Recruitment Race, although traditionally we do not see them. Again, the number 24, though, seems like he had the hardest hit, but he didn't go flipping into the fence. We'll try to get the numbers of the drivers involved.
Brady, now that you're in here, I know you are doing some driver introduction and driver meeting early on. What are we, or what are yourself as president of NASTRA, and especially this newly formed NRE Power Systems Truck Series. What are you exactly looking for as we watch these recruitment races?
Oh, well, the goal is to just, get enough guys to get the season started. You kind of want to take, 30 to 40 guys as your goal to start the season, but you also want to have guys that are committed, competitive, and want to show up every single Monday night to run the series. So it's kind of just talking to the guys, seeing who's interested, and then going from there.
Absolutely, and we've seen it. It works. Our Friday night, we're Friday night Triple M Pulling Truck Series League. I think we average between 35 and 40 trucks every Friday night, which makes it a ton of fun. Hopefully, we can do the same thing starting with this league coming up, which will be run on Monday nights.
And it was Anthony Reiner who went up and over and into that catch fence there. As we see him on pit road, he had to take a tow. So even though he does have that fast repair, it's going to be a while till he gets back on the racetrack. As we go through the field, though, we see Ronnie Derrick and Jimmy Crawford are still just kind of up there controlling the field. And really been an impressive run for those two so far, controlling their respective lanes. We have William Rice there in P3. He's been up there all night so far. Charles Keller up there in P4. Scott Spatza is rounding out your top 5. Those drivers have really settled in, found their groove, and have been up there the entire time. Although Spatza is had to make his moves towards the front. Started in 12th, but already up to 5th place is an impressive showing early on.
So after this run of green flag laps here, and the stage end coming up shortly, any type of pit strategy that comes into play here? I know really tires don't really mean much. Fuel, they should have enough to get to the end of the end of the stage, and actually the first 2 stages at least. What are you doing here? You staying out? Especially up front, you're going to want to keep your track position, but way in the back or got a little bit of damage. What are you doing here?
The leaders actually stayed out for the most part. I believe I only saw one truck come down the road. As you said, tires mean absolutely nothing, and they're just trying to control the pace here. Should be an interesting, quick little dash. I'm going to go back green as we're coming on to lap 9. Looks like the pace truck will probably be lights out. And we'll go back racing with about 6 left as Anthony Reiner has made his way off of pit road. But 6 left in the stage when we get going. That looks like.
Yeah, to answer you, Jeff, I think it all depends on where I'm running at. If I'm running in the back, I might come top off right here because I'm really not losing anything. But tires, yeah, you're not really necessarily gonna need tires or anything. But maybe take fuel here to kind of stay out for the stage break and just see how it goes.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad plan. Grabbing some fuel here with only a couple laps left in the stage. If you're in the back and you want to be in the front, now's your chance. Grab your gas, and then when the stage break happens, you'll cycle to the front.
And I will say, if we've noticed with this racing so far, is up front seems to be a lot cleaner, a lot more organized, and less chaotic than the back part of the path. Maybe the play right now is to get towards that front, but obviously at the end of stages, you know how it could always be. Drivers can get aggressive. The pushing gets obviously a lot harder. At this point, are you telling the drivers around you, hey, you don't need to bump track. It's still early. We're not racing for points tonight, just a recruitment race. Like, back off a little bit. You can run hard, but we don't need to be blowing our engines up pushing at this point in the race.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody really, even from that replay, not really seeing anybody being too over-aggressive. I don't know if just somebody was trying to share the same spot of the track at the same time there. It did seem organized when they had both inside and outside lanes formed and together. It seemed to get jumbled up when that outside lane fell apart and the middle of the pack started to jumble up, and we kind of saw some 3 wide going on. So maybe go back to that. Go back to the 2 wide, top and bottom, and see what happens here to the stage end.
Of course, and as you watch these drivers get ready to go green again, it will only be about 6 laps to the end of stage 1. End of lap 15 is when that caution flag will fly, and then it'll be to the end of lap 35, and then a 40-lap run to the end after stage 2. Jimmy Crawford leads them back towards the Geico restart zone here in Talladega. Again, Ronnie on his outside as we are back underway, and Crawford gets a very nice jump. Will the 07 drop down behind him this time instead of right inside lane? He does not. The 7's going to fill in. Rice is going to fill in that gap, but it looks like Crawford may jump to the outside. Oh, Ronnie tries to cut Rice, and he's going to get spun to the infield, and it's going to stack up the field behind him. And we have caution out again, as that just was, I was saying it as they're coming through. Ronnie had the space to start. He took too long, as we look on the Pulse Poppers instant replay. He waited too long and came back down, and Rice was there.
Absolutely, and it may have been one of those things. He heard his spotter say clear, and he just waited just a tad too long, and then decided, hey, I'm going to go fill that spot now that the leader's heading down to the bottom line. But that time, that split-second decision to move down there, with a spot already filled, as the result there.
Yeah, and it looks like Ronnie came back up and hit the rear end into the outside wall. Didn't see anyone else necessarily get involved. Yeah, just a little bit of contact there further on the path. But, I mean, a great job by everyone avoiding the driver coming back up across the racetrack as he tried to save it when getting spun down the apron. Just a really dangerous situation for the field. And a lot of that is just he cleared himself when he wasn't clear. And like you said, maybe he just waited too long after being clear.
And I was going to say the same exact thing about how kind of impressed I was that it wasn't worse than it was. There was a lot of trucks, building their speed coming up on that restart there. That could have been a lot worse, but people were smart, slow down, use that brake, and weaved around the trucks that were, either stopped dead or bouncing off the wall coming back down the track.
Yes, as we see Anthony Reiner, the truck involved in that earlier incident, has disconnected from the session. His night is done, as well as John Tricarton, who ran those 58 laps in practice that did not pay off. He is also out of the session, along with Max Bryant, among the drivers who took the green flag all out. Still, though, a decent-sized field at this point in time. Kyle Hess has dropped down to 24th. Cody Sanderson right behind him in 25th, like he wants to watch. Ronnie Derrick down in 26th. He'll use his fast repair here. If you're a driver, do you pit now or do you wait for that little laps dash to the stage end?
If I'm not in the top 10, I'm hitting pit road now, grabbing my gas, maybe even taking some tires if being that they're available, just because of the amount of time it takes to fill the tank. You might as well put the 4 tires on anyway. Brady, how about yourself? What are you doing?
I'm definitely, since this wasn't the stage break, I'm definitely coming to top off, and I'm going to try to gain some track position right here.
Will Rice, who was running in second after the incident, came down pit road probably to get that damage maybe fixed on that right front as he got his nose chopped off. Just a really tough situation. It's nothing that he could have done. As Huck Wigington comes on, he'll top off. Obviously, Huck's going to run in the back. He's not going for stage positioning tonight at all.
Yeah, and if you have a little bit of damage, might as well just fix it now. It really does affect the aerodynamics of this truck. If you have a crinkled front end, you're not going to be able to get up to speed. It's going to make it hard to be part of that pack and push. Sometimes you can get away with it if you tuck behind another truck, but say you get pushed out to the front, it's just going to make it harder for yourself to stay there.
Yeah, as we see now, that top 5 has really been shaken up. Jimmy Crawford's still out front, but we have Charles Keller now in second, Brian Fu in third, Steve Martin fourth, Scott Patza rounding out your top 5. So Patza hasn't really changed his position in this Chevy Silverado. But rounding out the top 10, we'll look at Michael Garner up in 6th from 22nd on the grid. Robert Green up to 7th from 30th starting position. Elijah Brown in 8th, 24th on back. Raul Meza up to 9th. CJ Fonda rounding out your top 10 then. Fonda fell back a little bit early on, that Nashville, Tennessee driver, but he has found his way back up into the top 10. As a lot of these drivers are itching to get some green flag laps, but as you said, that stage end is coming up. It's going to be a quick little dash.
And like I said before, when stage points are on the line, this is where things kind of get crazy. Guys are going to do what they can because, in our Friday night league and some, in actual NASCAR truck series and playoffs are involved, those stage points can make or break you at the end when it comes to playoff positions and moving on. So that's why you see it get crazy at the end of stage ends. Every point is important.
I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, you saw, for me at least last week at Indianapolis, the Triple M Pulling Truck Series, ran top 5 in the stages, and then on a fuel mileage race, I ended up finishing 8th. But I got a stage win at the end of stage 2 when Blake Lothian came down pit road on the last lap of the stage, and that was a playoff point that I desperately needed. And just collecting playoff points once you're in the playoffs is huge in our NASRA series, and getting those stage wins can really help and make your weekend a lot better, even if you don't have the finish you want. As I feel like I've won stages without being there at the end of the race, especially these super speedways. Won both stage ones and haven't finished either of them. So, as you said, these stage points do matter in our leagues once we get them up and running.
Speaking of wins and eligible for playoffs, can you tell me who won that race on Friday night at Indy?
Yes, none other than our esteemed booth mate, Brady LaBeouf, getting the win on a great fuel mileage strategy call. Just barely had enough gas there at the end. The rest of us didn't have as much confidence and pitted, but Boss Man taking home the win at Indy, locking himself into the playoffs was huge for him, as I believe we've had 6 different winners in the Triple M Playing Truck Series this season. Ted Wade leading the way with 3 wins, but he had a rough night as he crashed coming to the start finish line and did not finish the race. So he actually ended up being a lap down in 30-something position. And then another series regular, Keith Bradley, who's been dominant at times in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series, is currently outside the playoffs in 18th position on points. He also finished outside the top 30 after picking up heavy damage in stage 1 when he slapped the outside wall on it too. So points matter, stage points matter even more. But obviously, we have that win in your in system, and myself getting the win at Nashville, outdoing Brady there was huge, and then beating us all in the fuel strategy race at Indianapolis, locked himself into the playoffs.
Pace truck lights are off. It's about to head down a pit road, make its a hard left turn here. We got a couple laps left to the end of stage 1. What are you looking to see here?
Hopefully no more torn up trucks, as it'll be 2 laps to end this stage here, as Jimmy Crawford again will lead the field to green. He's led every lap so far tonight. No one's been able to pass him. No one's been able to touch him so far. Charles Keller will line up outside of him. Brian Chu behind Jimmy Crawford, and Steve Barnett on the second row on the inside. Let's see who gets a better push as the field approaches the Geico restart zone here. Jimmy Crawford is going to hopefully get a good jump here, and he is off and away. And Brian Chu actually getting a good jump, draws level with Charles Keller there, so there will be no opportunity for Keller to dive down to the bottom. We saw what happened with that caution. Let's restart.
I don't know about you, but there's something about seeing a straight black, flat black, be it a car, race truck out front at a super speedway that just gets your heart pumping a little bit, no?
It does, and as we've seen, and there's that 54 Ty Gibbs Eskimo. Oh, there's a wreck in the back of the pack, car into the outside wall, 2 drivers involved, maybe more. Seems like, oh, another one hits him late. That's unfortunate. There's 3 to 4 trucks involved, and that'll be the stage end there. This stage will end under caution. Jimmy Crawford's going to bring him back to the line. That's just an unfortunate way to end, as we'll see here in the Pulse Poppers instant replay. And just that looked like a bad push, and the 12 truck gets pushed into the outside wall. And it looks there at the end. Oh, that's just an unfortunate situation. A little bit of lack of awareness and 2 trucks coming together.
Yeah, it just seems to be the case here of, Larry Mack always says, cautions breed cautions. And here we're seeing it. We had, what, three quick ones in a row here?
And it really is unfortunate. I really feel like that one off the restart where, you saw Ronnie come down and clip that, when Ronnie Derrick come down and clip Michael Rice, or William Rice, apologies. Really just an unfortunate situation. Looked like no other trucks involved, though, but that one just looked like, we hadn't seen a push gone wrong yet tonight, Jeff, and right there, the classic example.
And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be the last one we see. The leaders now will kind of reevaluate how the first stage went for them. They'll head down pit road and take their tires and fuel here and get ready for stage 2.
I have a random thought. You can tell me if you're going to be thinking of it as a driver. With all the caution laps we've had, do you think that these drivers have enough fuel to possibly go to the end of stage 2 without having to pit?
I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I don't recall what the fuel mileage here in the
Deferring,
trucks is.
yeah, deferring pitch strategy, as it looked like Charles Keller may have stayed out there. But this stage one was brought to you by Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing. And Jeff, can you tell the folks at home more about one of our favorite sponsors, Butt Kicker?
Absolutely. Butt Kicker is our one of our sponsors. Butt Kicker haptic hardware and software deliver the most accurate and highest fidelity sim racing tactile feedback possible via in-game audio and telemetry data. Experience immersion by actually feeling the vehicle suspension, track surfaces, engine RPMs, tire grip, and more. Precise haptic feedback for your simulator, faster driving, more immersion, and more control. If you don't have one, check out Butt Kicker.
And as I just looked down at my messages from our producer, it is important to note that actually the last driver currently in the playoffs in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series as it stands is our producer, Cody Knott, sitting 16th in points. Small lead over the drivers around him. So it looks like the leader may have disconnected from the server. We might have lost Jimmy Crawford.
That's a shame. He was kind of leading the field. You saw him make the right moves on restarts to block the run if it was coming from the high line. Move back down to the low line when needed to maintain that lead. Really would be a shame if he's gone, but hey, so be it. Internet connection or whatever happened is part of this sim racing. So let's see who's going to step up into his place.
Exactly, and Charles Keller did not pit that time under that round of caution pit stops. It looks like Curtis Rogers will fall into second place. John Paul Larson sitting third. William Rice back up in the top five, fixing some damage on that right front. Huck Wigington sitting in fifth. Makes me a little nervous. I don't like seeing Huck that far forward this early on. He's more of a driver I know that likes to hang in the back till the end. So hopefully he gets back to the back and waits and gets his time.
I don't know. He's got enough experience here. Maybe he's ready to push to the front and see what he can do out there. Maybe be one of those trucks on the outside. I think he's restarted on the outside here that get that outside lane formed and push to the front.
As you look through the rest of our top 10, we had Dan Matthews, Tyler Thurman, Chevelle Presley, followed by Brian Chu, and then Elijah Brown rounding out your top 10. 11th, CJ Fonda. He's made his way back to the front. It seems like every other caution period, he's in the back, and he's back up in the front, and then back to the back again. Really stressing you out, Jeff, as he is your race pick.
Hey, man, he's still in it. Still early. Hopefully he keeps those Ghostbuster fenders clean. And pace truck lights are out. We're going to go back green here.
Yep, with Charles Keller leading the field back around. There's a conversation that looks like between Jonathan Wiley and race control regarding some of the incidents so far tonight. It looks like he will have to drop to the end of the longest line. He may be the first truck one lap down, and it seems that yes, he is.
And being one lap down, although yeah, you're one step back per se. With the amount of cautions we've seen, you could be back on the lead lap, and if you get the lucky dog here within a couple laps. So you still want to stay with the pack. You don't want to lose a draft. As long as your truck's good, you're a lap down, you're still in this thing.
Yeah, and it looks like your pick has received an EOL penalty. I'm not quite sure what for. Maybe race control. When he can get back in the booth, Brady can let us know what that was about. But CJ Fonda is headed to the rear of the field, it seems.
Yeah, guys, he's having a little bit of internet connection issues. He's trying to sort out, so he didn't want to mess up somebody else's race, so he requested the EOL.
And that's like a class act. I think we all appreciate about that.
100%. I was going to say the same thing. You don't want to when you're having internet issues. I've been there. You don't want to mess up anybody else. It really makes it hard, especially racing this close, this fast on a super speedway. You don't want the guy in front of you, behind you, next to you, blinking. It really throws you off bad. So that's really a classy move to head to the back by CJ.
Agreed. Jonathan Wiley was speaking to you, Brady, at race control position. Any comment on what those conversations were about and what the discussion was like?
I'm sorry, Tyler, repeat the question real quick.
It was about Jonathan Wiley to the rear of the field being a lap down. It seemed like he was on voice chat talking to you. Any comment on the situation, or is that for race control?
Yeah, it seemed like he got caught up in that wreck, and he had the black flag for damage for repairs needed. So he ended up going through the. He had an unsafe pit entrance, so that's why he had to serve the penalty, and he's 1 lap down.
So now, as you see, Charles Keller takes the lead, but John Paul Larson jumping to his outside here to take the lead right back from him. Keller had a great run, but he probably got too far out, and these trucks getting drafted. We go 3 wide for second. The 7 truck of William Rice on the outside. What a run from Rice there on that restart. Just absolutely powered through on the outside as those trucks were fighting for first. As we are 3 wide for first place heading into turn 3 at Talladega, it's Keller, Larson, and Rice battling it out, and it looks like Rice has been hung out to dry. That massive move forward is gonna not pay off for him.
Yeah, now the 7 truck's just hoping for an opening in the top line here, or somebody to jump up and make it, that third line work. I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe he may have to drop to the back end of this outside line and regroup.
So it looks like Keller and Larson are going to drop down to the inside together. 65 truck up there. As we have a wreck in the back of the field, the 90 is around, and there's a caution flag. Oh, and another hard hit to the outside wall. Patsa involved. Probably several other trucks as well. We can check the Colts Hoppers instant replay, but that happened in the back of the pack. But I mean, an absolutely insane start to the second stage here. I mean, drivers being extremely aggressive, and we saw it 3 wide throughout the lead in second place for much of that lap.
It almost seemed like they wanted all to get to the front to try to avoid maybe something possibly like getting wrecked like this. But in the end, that outside line broke up, and kind of the same as before. Once that outside line broke up, it seemed to jumble and get everybody excited towards midfield, and another wreck ensued.
Yeah, it looks like Patsa just got over pushed by that purple 34 truck, it looks like. Another victim there in the back. Just an unfortunate situation. It looked like, though, the field may have got stacked up as throughout that corner.
And just like we were talking about, the Ghostbusters truck itself, CJ Fondaw, getting that penalty, put him to the end. He ended up getting, tagged a little bit there. He may need to use his fast repair if he hasn't done so already.
That purple 34 truck of Jason Ferguson still running on the track, so looks like he may have not gotten too much damage, although there is a little bit wrong with his right feet. Charles Keller still up front there as you're looking. Curtis Rogers, driver in second, started 31st, and he is definitely the biggest mover so far.
And as you've seen here during the wrecks, our replays are brought to you by Pulse Poppers. Pulse Poppers owner Neil Pulse has been in business for well over 30 years and makes all the bass bugs and fly fishing bugs by hand, using several methods and techniques to assemble the perfect fishing weapons. Pulse Poppers can be found all over the U.S. and can be purchased by visiting breambugs.com. Neil himself makes well over 5,000 of his bugs a week by hand. If you're into topwater fishing or know someone who is into fishing, be sure to head over to breambugs.com and check out Neil's works. We appreciate their sponsorship.
See, that 20 truck looks like it may have some damage, that right front. A little bit loose there. Looks like it happened on that wreck is that Chevelle Presley did not get up to speed, and it stacked up that outside line with Brown, Patsa, and Ferguson just kind of drove into the back of him, not aware of how much they were checking up as I'm looking at the replay. It seems that's what happened, and a really unfortunate end for a couple of these drivers who got involved. It's the 07 of Ronnie Derrick. Looks like he has some significant damage.
Yeah, guys, I'm on pit road right now, and I'm seeing a lot of damaged trucks come down and use those fast repairs. So a lot of trucks with a bunch of damage, and the 65, I guess he already used the fast repair because he still has a little bit of damage, or he might be saving it.
Yeah, and it looked like your pick there, Jeff. CJ Fondaw flipped in the right rear and sent him straight to the outside wall as he has significant damage to the front end of that Toyota Tundra.
Yeah, and going back to what Brady said, a couple of guys maybe with damage but are still running. may be putting that fast repair back into their pocket. If you can at least maintain enough speed to stay on the lead lap with the way this race is going, it may pay to hold on to that fast repair until the final stage.
If we can get a look at the right front on the Fonda machine, you can tell that he has taken his fast repair. So that's an unfortunate early use of the fast repair for Fonda. A little scrape on the right side, but that right front is significantly fixed. So as it looks like we've had, unfortunately, a few more drivers fall victim to the Talladega Superspeedway. Derek, Joseph, Schneider have all unfortunately gone behind the wall in the garage.
From what I see, we could still have 20 trucks on a lead lap. Is that correct?
It looks to be the case as of right now. Yes, 20 trucks. Jason Stevenson, he was your lucky dog there as he gets his lap back. Jonathan Wiley still the first truck one lap down. Shown in 23rd, but Green and Joseph Schneider as in the center of the session. So Wiley will be your only truck one lap down. So he is still in it. He just needs one more caution, which he will get for sure at the end of lap 35 in the stage break.
And the 14 of Jonathan Wiley, or is it the 114? We talked about him last week. He was involved in a couple wrecks. I don't recall many or any of them really being his fault, but he kept going. He used his fast repair when he needed to, and I think he ended up finishing third.
Jonathan Wiley had a nice, solid third place last week. Yes, you were right at Michigan. Brandon Laurent, who's not here tonight, took the win at Michigan, while Cody Sanderson finished second. He was in the session earlier, but it looks like he did not take the green flag tonight, which is quite unfortunate. Correction, Cody Sanderson is actually in the session. He is sitting in P11. My apologies. Thank you, producer, for correcting me on that one. Lights are out on that pace truck. John Paul Larson, the new race leader, with Dan Matthews, Brady's pick from last week, outside in row number 1. Huck Wigington on the inside. William Rice on the outside of row number 2. Fifth place is Tyler Thurman. Brian Chu in 6th. Elijah Brown 7th. Raul Meza in 8th. Steve Barnett in 9th. And rounding out the top 10 is Kyle Hess. So all of our picks on the lead lap, still driving. CJ Fonda had to use his fast repair. He is currently in 16th.
Yeah, guys, we're coming to 13 laps before the conclusion of stage 2, so I'm hoping we can see some green flag racing at least to the stage break. It'd be nice to end a stage, under green flag conditions.
Absolutely, we want to see maybe the nerves have calmed down. You kind of got a feeling of who can do what and where now. Maybe settle in. You may see. Sometimes you see the field get content and ride in a single file for quite a while until, at least maybe to the last couple laps of the stage. Interesting to see what they choose to do here.
And Brady, it looks like Cody Sanderson received an EOL. Any word on what that penalty is for?
I believe he requested it to go back there and help out his teammate, Jonathan Wheely.
Important note, Jonathan Wheely still a lap down, so just kind of needs to run clean here to the end of the stage, and he'll get his lap back. As we are back through the Geico restart zone, John Paul Larson leads the field to green again with Dan Matthews on his outside. Huck Wigington sitting there, but Huck, great start, is going to take over second place, it looks like, but that outside line is far more organized as they're coming into 1 and 2.
It will take them a couple laps to get up to speed, and I'd say give it another half lap or so, and you'll see that outside line, even if it's 3 or 4 trucks, they'll get assembled as they get some help out here in numbers, and they'll get pushed to the front here.
And a huge amount of momentum for stretch there. It looks like he will take the lead coming into turn 3. He's getting squirrely as he's getting a really aggressive push from William Rice. Rice now to the lead of the outside lane. Dan Matthews takes over at the front. Coming off of 4, though, that outside lane, 3 trucks really tight there, led by Rice, and then the 54 of Brett behind them.
Yeah, it looked like it worked out for Matthews there. He did get squirrely on that push, kind of made the decision to drop down. Luckily, it was clear down below. Held the lead for momentarily until the next truck in line gets pushed to the front.
Correction, Brian Chu in the 54, not Brett. Brett Griffin on the brain. Very big personality in the NASCAR world. Spotter from Colleague Racing. Rookie mistake there on mine.
Got a little door bumper clear on your mind, huh?
I'm looking forward to the episode tomorrow. It should be a blast. Noah Gragson will be on, and Freddie Kraft, after celebrating his win at Kansas, will probably be very, very drunk.
I would imagine.
Brian Chu staying tight to the bumper of William Rice there. He has no help behind him from that 12 truck in the outside lane. As you see Matthews and John Paul Larson leading that inside lane with Huck Wigginton and Raul Meza behind them on the inside.
Yeah, guys, we're seeing a lot of bumping in the corners. They are being very aggressive on this, and so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another caution come soon.
Yeah, and these trucks, you know, we talked about even during the straightaway, if you're not straight on, things could get swirly. It's almost a no-no, in my book at least, pushing anybody through a corner. You want to, you know, let off your gas a little bit, give them some room, let them clear the corner, and then press them hard again on the straightaway.
So that 12 truck on the outside has reattached himself to that outside lane. He is now going to help contribute Brian Crocker in that outside in that red and black machine. Very even 2x2x2, 10 to 12 rows deep, and it looks like we're kind of in a gridlock up front between Matthews and Rice. No one really able to get clear ahead, but it looked like Rice led that line.
Now here may be a good idea for everybody too. We got 9 laps now to go in this stage. Let's see. If it's me, I'm content with riding around like this, no matter where I'm at in the top line, bottom line. Not really making a move. I really wouldn't make a move myself until we're coming to the last lap of the stage. How about you guys?
Yeah, and I think the problem with the outside line right now is that the 7 truck's got some front end damage. If you can get a close up on that. And I think it's holding up the outside line. That 54, Brian Chu's pushing him all he's got. He's getting squirrely, actually, but I think the damage is what's holding him up right now.
And Brian Chu looked to the outside there, couldn't make the move, but I agree, Brady. Brian Chu needs to get around that 7. As you can see there, the 7's front end is a little wrinkled. It hasn't completely destroyed that outside line, as we are 3 wide for about 8th on back. Looks like CJ Fonda. Oh, no, that is not CJ Fonda. That is in the middle there. Unsure if I can get a name on that driver real quick. Steve Barnett in the inside, in the middle there, 3 wide. We are now 3 abreast, 3 rows deep. These drivers are getting a little bit more antsy as we're coming towards the end of the second stage. And as soon as I say that, that outside lane falls.
Yeah, I think they realized that it was getting a little too hairy this early in the race. You know, we're not even halfway there yet. May pay off to back off, let things settle out, even though you may be in contention for a top 10 in that stage. Save it, let these guys go race for it while you drop back and reassess as we come to the end of stage 2.
Brady, if you're seeing all this pushing and shoving in front, are you kind of backing off and see about 4 to 5 trucks there are?
I guess it all depends on the situation you're in. If you want stage points, you kind of got to go for it right here and just try to get around them as safely as you can. But if I'm running maybe 12th or 13th and I don't see myself moving forward, I'm probably gonna kind of go to the back a little bit, give these guys some room just in case they wreck.
Rice had a massive run down the backstretch, but that inside line just powered through. As you can see here, John Paul Larson can't really see at all. He just sees that big Matthews on the back of that Matthews machine right there at 30. As Rice gets pushed loose to the outside, does Brian Chu get past? Nope, he lets him back in. Scary moment there for the outside lane.
Yeah, the 54 just came on the radio and apologized to him for that. But I think Brian needs to be aggressive right here and get around that 7 truck of Rice.
Yeah, that in-truck view before really just shows you. We talked about preference. That's one of my preferences. Why being down by that yellow line, running that close to the back end of a truck, you really can't see what's in front of them. So you kind of are gauging where you are on the track by that yellow line. And as you see that this driver do here, you kind of peek out every once in a while to see what's ahead of you.
And absolutely amazing push by Brian Chu there to the back of William Rice. But it's going to hurt them here being in this tri-oval. Dan Matthews going to try to get back. It looks like Rice will lead this lap.
Ooh, the A big shove right there by the 54 again going into turn 1.
Will the 24 let the 54 back in? It looks like he will, but those trucks are very tight. 54 looked to the inside of Rice there for a moment, thought about driving to the bottom. Oh, and Rice gets loose again, and 54 loose as well. That was a very hairy moment. All the drivers kept it straight, but it looks like that outside lane may fall apart now that the shoe is not pushing the envelope there.
Yeah, and I think the 54 kind of did that to himself. I know he wanted to help the 7, but he needed to get around him. But I'm not sure if he knows that he has damage. That's what's holding up that outside line right now.
As my pick, Huck Wigington makes a very aggressive move to the outside of the lead, too, and he's going to get a push from Rice. Honestly, Rice may not be a horrible pusher with that damage on the front end. He will have to watch his temps, and that should be a big concern, but he might be better as a pusher than being pushed.
With 4 laps to go here in stage 2, I think where things are going to get a little dicey again. These guys are getting pretty racy out front, wanting to reform that outside line and see if they can push Huck Wigington in the 00 out to the front. He's almost there.
And he is there right now, Huck Wigington, and he's going to make a massive move to the bottom, gets in front of Dan Matthews, and that move may pay off, as we know Rice has that front end damage, but Matthews is really pushing Wigington up there. Almost a disaster for the field.
Yeah, and that was just a textbook move by Huck Wigington. He's known for that. He finished second, actually, in the clash.
All 3 wide in the front. Teller takes Matthews 3 wide. Sorry to interrupt you there, Brady. A scary moment for the pack.
Yeah, they're getting really aggressive right now. We're coming to 4 laps to go in the stage break, so they're getting really aggressive.
That 24 machine needs to watch how he's pushing Dan Matthews there. A little bit too far off to the left, off center, and that could easily send that truck around, and that field would just be along for the ride as that third lane is forming with Rice back on the bumper of Chew.
And now they're 3 wide. That third line's coming. It's coming, boys. Third line.
Brian Chew seems to be the best pusher in the field today, as he's got a wounded truck in front of him. If he can get that third line moving, he might be a contender to watch later on the race as long as he keeps his truck clean.
And we may see this as pretty aggressive driving now. Yes, end of stage 2, but these guys might be seeing what run they can get, possibly, or who they can run with, especially on the outside lane. Late in the race, you're going to see that for a win and see another close finish. I'm sure of it.
And we have 3 left in stage 2. At the end of lap 35, that caution will fly, but that is very aggressive driving, especially from the drivers far outside and on the bottom, as Huck's getting really shoved throughout the corner.
Absolutely. And to your point, Jeff, if I'm running, 3rd or 4th in the second row, as we see the third lines coming with a big run, I'm looking to see what kind of moves I can make towards the end of the race also. This is a test right now.
We see 9 cars literally under a blanket there, 3 by 3 by 3. It's just very impressive. These drivers have kept it together for as long as they have so far, and hopefully they can continue to do so throughout the end of the stage, as we are coming to 2 to go in the stage.
Oh, yeah, Dan got turned right.
And that's just a disaster as the field wrecks in a absolute glory. Looks like 4 trucks maybe made it through. And that's unfortunate. Look at the Pulse Poppers instant replay there again. It's just an absolute oh, that's unfortunate. Huck just turns Matthews. Looks like Matthews may have cleared himself, and really that didn't cause the bigger chaos. Just like the middle of the field came together there.
Yeah, a lot of torn up trucks right there going for the stage end, but it's typical here. You're going to see that aggression come out of guys knowing that there's 2 laps to go in the stage, but it happens,
Indeed it does. Sorry about that, Jeff. I was going to ask you, Jeff, as you're sitting in that, do you kind of blame yourself? Do you get frustrated if you were involved in that wreck, or how are you feeling?
I kind of think, we talked about it. You either can be aggressive or sit back. You want to be aggressive to get to the front, see what you can do. It seemed like, I think it was Matthews that got pushed or turned by Wigington there. I thought that was going to be it. He was going to slide down onto the apron and save it, and I thought we'd stay green. But then, yeah, something just happened. I don't really know once everything got jumbled, if that caused a checkup and people got run over, but it's unfortunate. But we'll see who has what left as far as damaged vehicles, fast repairs, as this will be the end of the stage, correct?
It is the end of the stage. Brady told the drivers, but it's just there's not many drivers left right now. As we're looking at the front of the field, it's pretty bare. Steve Barnett, currently your leader, a little bit of a damage on the right side of the truck. Huck Wigington second got involved with Dan Matthews there. William Rice third with that front end damage on his truck. Made it through the big wreck. John Paul Larson in fourth. A little bit of right front damage, it seems, and Brian Chu, a significant amount of damage to the front of his Toyota Tundra Monster Energy 54.
I know we see the front group 4. It does look like there's some wounded trucks farther back in the field that are now just catching up. Be interested to see how many are actually left in the race once this stage break gets done here.
It really will, Jeff, as we will have less than 40 laps to go when we go green again. But Brian Chu, using his fast repair there, as you saw, so his has now been used up. But the good news is he did still have it for that wreck, and he can still run. Looks like Jonathan Wiley got his lap back there. So Jonathan Wiley back on the lead lap, third place finisher last week. Could be a force to be reckoned with later in this race.
All right, stage 1, stage 2 are over. It's now stage 3. After seeing kind of what has transpired with a little more cautions than we wanted to see, what are we doing here for the third? Are you as a driver up front now, are you looking to run single file and keep cool?
I think so, and we got to keep it calm. But let's first take a moment to thank our sponsor for Stage 2, Millie's Catering. And Jeff, I know you can definitely speak a lot more about Millie's Catering.
Absolutely. Millie's Restaurant, which is located at 3218 South Atlantic Avenue in Daytona Beach Shores, only a stone throw away from Daytona International Speedway. Millie's Restaurant has been dedicated to serving the Daytona Beach shore community. They serve the freshest, locally sourced, chef-quality food since 2017. No matter the time of year, it's guaranteed you'll be enjoying the best of the season. Millie's offers indoor and outdoor dining options and strongly recommends reservations by calling 386-275-1492, or you can make reservations online by going to www.resy, that's resy.com. If you ever find yourself down in the Daytona area, definitely check out Millie's Restaurant.
Thank you, Jeff. And I think it is important that we continue to thank the sponsors who have really supported this league and really appreciate their support. I know whenever I'm in the Daytona area, whether it's been for the 500 or when the Daytona Road Course was a race in the Cup Series, I always try to find great local places that have awesome seafood, as I really do love some fish and some crab. And Millie's is really just a great spot to be.
Absolutely. We love the support of all of our sponsors. They all have been with us. The sponsors we've mentioned tonight so far have all been with us for some time, and we really do appreciate them.
So it looked like we had a massive stack up there with the pace truck. Not really sure what happened there. It's kind of unfortunate. Maybe a truck kind of disappeared randomly. Oh, it looked like the 24 went around. I'm not really sure what happened, but they disconnected. If we can get a replay of that, just absolute chaos there. Did he just lose it on his own?
Yeah, you hate to see something like this under a caution. Not sure what transpired there, but it ended up with the 29 around. Looked like, for the most part, yeah, it looks he just lost it, and maybe a computer issue or a hardware issue of some sort. Maybe something. Typically see that kind of thing when something becomes disconnected as part of your setup, no?
For sure. Maybe a downshift may have influenced what happened there. So we have lost John Paul Larson for the rest of the evening. Unfortunately, it looks like your pick, Jeff, CJ Fonda, has gone behind to the garage and is the leader of this race.
I guess I'll be the jinx this week.
To be fair, I believe you could have, in theory, been the jinx last weekend, so you had to go to a backup pick, so I think your first pick wrecked out as well.
100% true.
It is the broadcaster's curse here in the NASCAR 360 booth. We just really seem to have found a way to ruin everyone's races.
Pace truck lights are out. It's about to make its left turn down pit road. That 54 Monster Energy truck out front. Will it be there at the end? He used his fast repair. He's going to want to stay out front. We'll see what happens.
As Steve Barnett will lead the field to the green, as you said. Brian Chu in second on that outside row. Huck Wigington in third. And fourth is Brian Crocker in that black and red truck, 12. As we're coming up to the Geico restart zone, about to get ready to go green once again. Pace car driver's gotten a lot of work tonight. Steve Barnett takes the green flag, and we are back underway here at Talladega.
Yeah, that's right, Tyler. And I would like to, I'm sorry, Jeff, but I would like to, now that we see the 24 and the 54 out there in front, we saw them in the second stage a few laps ago pushing. We'll see what they do out front now.
How was the driver chatter amongst the fellow drivers on pit road? Or anything significant that you're hearing? Guys maybe reminding other guys to stay calm or what?
It seems like it's pretty competitive, you know. Guys are working together. It seems like there's a lot of teammates that are working together tonight. Oh, as we see the 44. Yeah.
Huck Wigington's been hit. He saves it, keeps it going straight. Looks like everyone will survive.
Wow, that was a great save.
That was an awesome save.
But yeah, Jeff, it seems like, I don't know, you hear a little bit of calming down and then you hear a bit of, go time. So I think everybody's getting ready for that green flag pit stop that could perhaps happen in this final stage. So we're going to just wait to see what happens.
With these drivers being spread out, we may see more likely that green flag stop. But as you said, Jeff, before it went green, or maybe Brady, you said, I'm getting my wires crossed, but we have Barnett and Chu there, nose to tail, working together rather well, it seems, while we have Brian Crocker and Tyler Thurman on that outside cut. Those two groups of two are just really kind of pulling away as we see another pair of pairs right behind them, probably going to get them back up, and that'll be an 8-car field once they get all together.
Yeah, and if I was those guys, I know it's hard to orchestrate it, but what you'd like to see is them four just getting a single line and just kind of pull away from all the commotion back there, you know. But sometimes it happens, sometimes you can get it done, and then sometimes you can't.
As important, sorry, real quick, a DF report. Curtis Rogers and Scott Patza both now behind the virtual garage of this race.
Yeah, as you said before, that shake-up where Huck got pushed down, below the line, he was able to save it, but really chopped up the field, which may be beneficial to some. It's going to spread them out. They're going to be able to reassemble. And, you talked about before, here you see Huck Wigington's front end. He's got some damage. It's going to make him a hard truck to be out front. But he may want to get some help and get tucked in behind somebody. He may become a pusher, and maybe he has that fast repair left.
As he's tucking in behind fellow Triple M Pulling Truck Series driver Raul Meza. The front pack has, it looks like, 10 trucks now, kind of controlling the pace. The majority of them are lined up on that inside. As Thurman get down to the bottom in front of Chu and Barnett. I think those 4 trucks, if they get together, those 4 can be really a force to reckon with and may be able to pull away. As Chu is not waiting for anyone. He'll jump to the outside there, in front of that outside row. Chu really wants to be up front.
Yeah, that was an aggressive move by the 54, Brian Chu. We'll see if it works out for him, but it's good to note that there's only 16 trucks left on the lead lap. But I wouldn't count Raul Meza just out yet. I know he's 2 laps down, but if we get a couple of cautions here, he can get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, he is the only truck multiple laps down that has a chance of getting back in the lead lap, as Curtis Rogers, as I said earlier, is out of this race. So Raul Meza could be that driver who currently outside of the picture for that win could get back in. And it seems like the pack has reformed there.
You never want to give up. I mean, yeah, there's times, especially where you practice all week, you practice for days to get into these things. Early on you get, most likely not your fault. You get damage, but you really just got to keep racing. Anything can happen. You could see 2 quick cautions come out here. Mesa can go back on the lead lap. He looks like a clean truck. He can get pushed to the front towards the end. You just got to stay in it.
Those trucks have really reformed. Unfortunately, looks like Huntington has lost the breath, and he has fallen off the pace. He may need a caution in order to get back up there.
Yeah, Huck has significant damage on the right front there. The hood's kind of crinkled up a little bit, so he's definitely going to be off pace by himself. So we'll just see how it plays out if he has a fast repair or whatnot.
And that's the most frustrating part. Real quick here is he was up front, he was doing well. Now he's got damage. Now he's seeing that pack drive away from him. Now this is where he's probably crossing his toes and his fingers, waiting for that caution to come out so he can get back with the pack, stay on the lead lap, and hopefully be there at the end.
Yeah, and it's important to note that those 2 rows are currently being led by those 2 teams that had pulled away from the field when all that chaos happened, with Crocker and Thurman on the inside and Burnett and Chu on the outside, back working together, and they're probably comfortable with that situation. It looks like those pairs really like to work together so far and have kind of stuck with each other, it seems.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that I really thought it would take a little bit longer once they got spread out as far as they did, but they really did reassemble, found each other, found somebody to work with, and really they have regrouped to be this one lead group of trucks now fighting 2 lanes again side by side.
Still well over 30 laps left in this race, but as you're kind of prepping to do that green flag stop, if we get to that green flag stop, how do you guys go about, getting yourself in position to make that pit stop?
You want to be on the inside line eventually. Obviously, that makes things a lot easier. If you have teammates you're racing with, find some teammates because you want to pit together. You don't want to end up like our buddy Huck there. If you pit by yourself, you're done. You don't have anybody to run the draft with. But communication is key, even to other people. Let them know. Obviously, you may not want to let certain drivers know if you think there's going to be some pit strategy involved. But I'd rather be safe. I'd rather let everybody know I'm coming to pit when you're coming out of. Probably when you're entering 3 is when I would let everybody know. But that's just me. What about you guys?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Jeff. But you definitely want to make your way to the inside line whenever it's time to make that stop. But I'm in the Discord channel right now. I'm talking to my team. We're trying to figure out what lap is going to work for us, who we can work with, because you definitely don't want to go down there by yourself and then get stuck out, away from the pack. So you definitely want to be with your teammates here at super speedway races and just trying to figure.
There's a crash there, and it looks like Matthews just gets hooked by the driver on the 3rd lane. Caution flag is out. We may not have the green flag pit stop anymore, gentlemen. So we'll look at the Pulse Puffers instant replay to really see what unfortunately sent Matthews into the outside wall.
There we see Mesa spinning. Unfortunately, he was the one looking to stay clean and get his lap back.
Yeah, Mesa involved. It looks like Jonathan Wiley was the cause of that caution. Just coming down and just taking out Matthews and Mesa. Just looked like he tried to be aggressive with the side draft.
Definitely unfortunate for Mesa. His nights just got a lot harder for himself this late in the race, going even more laps down. He's rolling again, which is a good sign. Don't see too much damage, crinkle there, but he may be at least able to finish the race.
As it seems, Brian Crocker was in the lead at the time of that caution. That was 2nd, Chu 3rd, Thurman 4th, Rogers 5th. Hopefully, Raul Meza, can keep the truck going straight, keep himself in it. But it's going to be kind of hard to get back in it with the damaged truck now and 2 laps down. But that really the best break for that was for Huck Wigington. If you're Huck Wigington, you have to be ecstatic.
Absolutely, that's exactly what he was looking for. And as we come to pit road here, I would imagine most of the field's gonna to drive down pit road and at least take fuel they need to get to the end.
Yeah, some drivers may think they're still not able to make it, as it looks like Crocker and Net stay out. Chu, Thurman, Rogers, Keller, Stevenson, Hess, and more all come down pit road for it looks like probably 4 fresh tires and some fuel.
And guys, there's a developing story going on. The 24 Steve Burnett, he's actually got 16x incident points on him right now. So if he gets to 20, he'll be kicked out the session and DQ'd. So he's definitely worried about those 4X's right now, especially with the bump drafting and whatnot. So that's a developing story that we need to keep an eye on.
And that's a great catch there, Brady. That could be very detrimental to his race the rest of the way. So maybe he'll kind of fall to the back and maybe not push at least till the end of this race.
Yeah, and it'll make you think, do I really want to make a move? Do I want to be up front? Do I want to, any type of contact could result in him being DQ'd and finish chase when he's got a truck that could actually potentially be a winner.
Yeah, as we still have Brian Crocker leading at the front there in that Rush Chevy Silverado. I almost called it a Camaro. Steve Barnett second in his Chevy Silverado. The purple Fergie Ferg Chevy Silverado, number 34. Tyler Thurman, he's running fourth, and Brian Chu in fifth in his Toyota Monster Energy Tundra. Charles Keller sitting in sixth. Seventh is Kyle Hess. Eighth is Tristan Rogers. Ninth is Elijah Brown. Rounding out your top 10 is Chevelle Presley in his Toyota Tundra Logitech paint scheme there. Looks like Wiley has gone a lap down. Raul is still 2 laps down. Huck Wigington is the tail end of the lead lap. It looks like he may have done manual damage repair. And, just a lot of these drivers still just trying to run, get laps in. I saw Cody Sanderson there. He is sitting 12, right behind this group.
Yeah, the 114 of Jonathan Wiley, he's got the black flag for damage for repairs. So it looks like he's going to have some required repairs. And so it looks like his day's pretty much done.
That's an unfortunate end to Wiley's day, as he finished third last week at Michigan, but he will not see the checkered flag this week.
Although we feel like we're getting to the end, by the time we go green here, there'll probably be about 25 laps to go. That's still a lot of racing. Still a lot can happen. As long as you're, on a lead lap, maybe a lap or two back, you still have a chance at this race. What do you guys think?
Oh, absolutely. If you're on the lead lap, you got a shot. Including Huck, he went down pit road. It looks like he's got a little bit of damage still. He got some of it fixed, but Jeff, if you're still rolling, you have a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't know what's going to happen over these next 25 laps or so. You may have a damaged truck, but if you're on the lead lap, you can possibly hang at the tail end of the field. Guys may wreck, on the last lap, last 2 laps, and you still have a chance. That's why you got to stay in this thing if your truck's rolling and keep moving. As we see, Raul Meza looks like he's also got some damage to his front end. So we'll see if maybe these two can, take their 2 damaged trucks, stay together, and maybe, Nasra, Friday Night Triple M Polling Truck Series drivers work together and maybe push Huck to the front.
Important to note, Kyle Hess, also a Triple M Polling Truck Series driver, still up near the front. He is currently sitting in 7th. He's had a relatively clean evening from what I've seen. His truck doesn't look damaged right now. I'm not sure if he had to use a fast repair. It's most likely possible, but he's sitting there right now in P7, and he's still a competitive truck to look for at the rest of this race.
Absolutely, and situations like this you could have a good day here at Daytona or Talladega, and you could have a bad day, but every point counts because last season in the Triple M Pull and Truck Series, it came down to 1 point, whether the 16th place guy made it in or he was knocked out by 1 point. So every point counts. That's why you got to keep on rolling around here.
Really does, as we are about to get going back under the green flag. It'll be just about 26 laps remaining. Brian Crocker up front, Steve Barnett in the outside row, Tyler Thurman behind Crocker, Ferguson behind Barnett in row number 2.
Green flag.
As Crocker takes him to the Geico Research Zone, gets a really good jump, and he'll clear as he will make his way towards the start-finish line, which is way down here at Talladega, and get to the outside in front of Barnett.
Yeah, really good restart for him. Let him get far enough out in front, move down into the lower lane here, and hopefully he may try to control both lanes as you see him move up and down, but I think the outside lane with a good push is going to change that.
And that is Tyler Thurman moving towards the front with a little bit of help from behind. He has the number 20 machine of Charles Keller, but who leaves him out to dry and drops to the bottom as soon as he could. So these drivers are pushing really hard, but they are not staying behind anyone for too long. As Barnett behind the 12, Thurman still has Keller behind him. Chu is there, third in line, looking to move forward, as we know Chu will not sit third in any of his lanes for long.
Tyler, I know you cringe when we come to the super speedway races, and some drivers love them, some drivers hate them. I used to think they were boring. For the most part, you could really just wait to the last couple laps for the action. But once you got behind the wheel of these sim races, even though it's a sim session, it really gets your blood pumping being that close, doing 180, 185 miles per hour next to the, inches away from the other truck. What makes you hate them so much?
Just the unpredictability of it, and when you have these super speedway races, you're just bottled into this pack with a lot of drivers who you may not race around on a weekly basis at some of these other tracks. And it's not that they're bad drivers, it's just like you don't race around and you don't know how they race. You don't, you're not comfortable maybe pushing them, or maybe they're not a great pusher, or they're not great at being pushed. So it takes a lot out of your hands as a driver. As we see some very aggressive side drafting there from Thurman on Brian Crocker's truck. Just one of the things I really detest about it. Find my way up front towards stage 1, and then I get wrecked out and never see the checkered flag. So, say what you will about him. As Crocker moves to the outside in front of Thurman, Keller looks to the inside of Thurman. They're going to go 3 wide for second, maybe even for first here.
Absolutely, you're putting your truck. You're putting it where you can, but you're really relying on a lot of other people's help. Or non-help if they turn you. So I get it. I look at it more as a guy who really typically doesn't run up front, run mid to late pack. Coming to super speedways, I know that there's a chance for anybody to get a W. WC.
3 wide for the lead up here, as it is very intense racing. We still have 23 laps to go, but don't tell these drivers that. They think it's the last lap every lap.
Yeah, I completely agree with you guys. It's an art, this drafting, these super speedway races, plate racing. It's definitely an art, and I know that the Upfront Motorsports guys do a great job at it. North Central Racing Club, Tyler, your team does a really good job of working together and getting to the front. So it's definitely an art. It's a challenge, and I think that's why I enjoy going to them, is the challenge to get better at them.
Really is a challenge, as we see that outside line fall apart down to 4 trucks now, and maybe another truck will jump to the outside and give him some help, but it really seems like no of these lines are organized. Barnett looks to the middle, can't get by Matthews, he's going to get back a mile on the bottom. The outside may have less trucks, but they are way more organized right now than that inside.
Yeah, it just looks like everybody is not content, unless they're out front, is really not content with their position, and they're searching basically all over the track, jumping from the low line to the high line, really looking for that momentum. They want to be up front. It looks like they're all racing hard, almost 8 rows back.
I think part of that is you feel like you're less likely to get in trouble if you're in front of everyone else. You can't really be hit, but as we saw in our Talladega race at the Triple M Pulling Truck Series, You get a bad push from that guy in second, he being the one at fault, you can wreck your own teammate or cause a massive wreck. So it's something that you have to be concerned about.
Yeah, and I'm just watching these trucks, especially in the corners. They are not holding a straight line at all. They are back and forth, weaving through like a snake, and it's just something to keep an eye on.
Coming to 20 to go. I mean, these guys know that the race is winding down. If you're up front, you want to maintain that position. Possibly, if you're on the back, you may start moving your way to the front. Although personally, I feel it's a little early. With the way these guys are racing, and if I'm in the back, I kind of maybe just will maintain a safe distance and cross my fingers and maybe another wreck will take out another 5 or 6 trucks, and then I'll be sitting pretty. And that's just the way I would approach this with the way the guys have been racing.
But with how few trucks, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you may lose that draft quickly. It's like you have a lot of fans in the middle of this race. Kind of very similar to how the Triple M Pulling Truck Series kind of races, super speedways. We may not have a lot of cautions, but when we do, they are generally big ones. And having only about 14 drivers here, 15 drivers in this path is pretty indicative of how super speedway racing can end.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to get as far back as losing the draft when you're done, if that happens at this point. You want to be at the tail end, try to stay safe, as we see these guys go now 3 wide, almost 3 rows back.
And Crocker's really the meat in the sandwich, but Brian Chu, as we've seen, been an aggressive pusher. Will he go with them? No, he jumps to the outside. And Crocker is going to be left pretty much to fall all the way back. Fortunate situation from him. Just kind of got hung out to dry there.
And Keller's just staying glued down to that yellow line right now on the inside row. He's like letting everybody else make those moves. He's staying glued on the inside with the push in the back here. And I think he just is going to continue to do that. Oh no, as we see him get pushed out of line here. Good save.
Oh, very tight there. Pack kind of avoids that. As you said, pushes are getting more and more aggressive. But Brady, did you give these guys any limitations on fuel tonight? Should they be concerned about maybe running out of gas?
Yeah, so it's 80% fuel capacity tonight, so you could probably run about 24 to 25 laps. I want to say we went back to green on lap 46, 47 maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So it looks like there's a possibility of still a green flag pit stop, but some of these guys might be good to go.
Especially if you're sitting in that draft, I mean, there might be an inherent advantage, because we see with our pit stop strategy, it looks like some of these guys were last on pit road around lap 47, but Ferg has not been in since lap 35 at the end of stage 2, so he is definitely not going to be able to make it to the end on fuel. Same with Barnett, it looks like.
And like you mentioned, out front, you're the truck out front. You're keeping that gas pedal down to the floor all the way around the track. Meanwhile, you're in the draft, you may be lifting going into turns or on some straightaways, and that's a way to save some fuel. Maybe you'll save some while the guy out front is going to run his tank dry.
Looks like we had a little bit of an incident in the back. No caution as they kept it straight, with 3 trucks very far off the pace as this front pack keeps getting thinner. And when there's less trucks, less draft, you're going to burn more fuel as Keller gets slid up the track. That track temperature is hot, as we mentioned in the pre-race, and maybe these trucks, their tires are wearing, maybe they're slipping around a little bit more than they were to start.
Yeah, and also, as the fuel tank, shrinks down, you start getting light on the rear end. That plays a role too, Tyler.
It really does. These trucks are going to get more and more antsy as we go further and further in this fuel run. Still about 10 trucks under a blanket. Hopefully we can look back at that instant replay and see what happened earlier. As, a really hard hit, looks like, to the outside wall. We'll go back again just to look at that one more time. And it looks like he maybe just, hit door slammed another driver, and he just, absolutely abuses the safer barrier on the outside. It looks like he may come back down and collect another driver, and he does. So 2 trucks involved, 1 truck slow off the pace, slowing down to avoid it, thinking there may be a caution. William Rice, again, just, hasn't had the perfect day. He's had a decent day, but not a perfect one. As Cody Sanderson again involved in another incident. just an unfortunate kind of end for their days as competition goes. So back to the front. Oh, the leader gets turned. Will he save it? Oh, that was, I mean, that takes some Kyle Busch level skills at Daytona, gentlemen.
Absolutely, and not only did he saved it and brought it back up into oncoming traffic. Really surprised that everybody was able to avoid that as we check the Pulse Popper replay here.
I mean, Brady, if you're in that position, you are just yanking that wheel as hard as you can to the right, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely, Tyler. It's just unfortunate, but you know, you just got to keep on going on and hope for the best.
So it looks like this will get the field single file, and this is going to really test those fuel tanks as they're a little bit spread out, using a little bit more gas and be hard on the throttle. Currently, the leader is Brian Chu. Steve Barnett is second. It looks like Kyle Hess is sitting there in third. No, it's Tristan Rogers. Similar looking paint schemes. I thought I saw number 85.
Yeah, Kyle Hess, he was, whenever the 7 door slammed the wall there, he checked up really bad and he lost sight of the pack. So he's going to try to get caught up back up to the front, but he needs a caution really, really bad.
The way these guys are racing up front, even with only about 10 cars in this pack, he may get that caution he so desperately needs. And they're wrecking here. Keller's around. And there's another truck around. I'm unsure. It looks like William Rice into the wall, and that caution is Kyle Hess may be saved. Looks like Brian Crocker piled in at the end, and looks like Rice's day is done.
And that's definitely going to take out some heavy hitters in this field.
As we'll check the Pulse Popper's instant replay again to see what happened with this incident. It looks like 3 trucks going for about a foot and a half of space, it seems. Stacks everybody up, and it looks like Keller just going to avoid everyone getting stacked up, comes up, doesn't realize that Rice is there, and just door slams him. And looks like those 2 are the only 2. Nope. Looks like that truck there on the bottom is also involved, the number 19 machine of Jason Stevenson, with maybe a little bit of front end damage, but William Rice and Keller with the big victims here. Just looks like a simple mistake.
And was it the 20 earlier that had the Kyle Busch-esque save?
He did, and he could not pull it off again.
That's unfortunate, but you know what? That goes to show you he was running up front and kind of in what could be considered a safe space and got shuffled back after that save, and this is the end result for him.
As it looks like the field trying to catch up with the pace truck. They are in 3 and 4. Tristan Rogers will currently be your leader. He is, started 26, now first. Dan Matthews starting 27, out second. Brian Chu in third. Steve Barnett fourth. And Jason Ferguson fifth. Steve Barnett's got to be really concerned. As Brady told us earlier, he was very, very close to that 20x DQ limit.
So you're looking at, I mean, if you have one, I know you can use some inlays and stuff like that to show you possible fuel left, or you're talking to your crew chief here. If you have a chance, a slight chance, to make it these last, which I'm going to guess is about 10 laps when we go green, you staying out here taking the risk or taking the chance at seeing another caution come out? And then in that case, you'd hit pit road, take some fuel. What are you doing here, Tyler?
If you're one of those guys who did not pit at that previous caution, I believe on lap 45 or 47, I think you have to fuel. There's no way those guys who pitted on 35 can make it to the end. 40 laps on a limited tank, it's just not going to work, even with the caution laps, as we had a really long green flag run there. But those guys who pitted lap 47, 48, they could possibly stretch it through to the end. I mean, Jeff, are you taking that gamble?
I'm hitting pit road no matter what. I don't want to take the of running out of fuel on the last lap. With the way things, the small group of trucks that are left, as long as I'm on the lead lap, I'm coming in to get fuel, topping off, and relying on pushing myself to the front with the help of another truck to get the win, rather than rely on fuel.
As it looks like Brian Crocker and William Rice will take their virtual trucks to the virtual garage, ending their day here, unfortunately. The field's getting smaller. Cody Sanderson, though, big winner in that caution as he's going to catch back up to the field along with Kyle Hess. Those drivers suddenly back in this race.
Yeah, and guys, I think I would pit here with so few laps, trucks left on the lead lap. So I would definitely go ahead and just, if I had a set of tires here, top off fuel, take it. Shouldn't be no problem getting back up to the front with 10, 11 laps to go. But you also want to make sure you got enough fuel because there's 2 attempts for a green-white checkered, and that's very typical here at Talladega.
Right, and you're really not, with this, like you said, the small field, what are you really gaining with how many trucks are left? You're going to go from 11th to 1st or 2nd, when you could really make up that ground on a good restart or a good push from the back, finding the right guy to work with, finding the right group of trucks to work with. I'd rather do it that way than take the chance of running out of fuel at this point, for sure.
Agreed, and you have to be aware of that as it's like Hucklington is coming back down pit road, probably to get more damage repaired on the truck. Looks like that right front has significant damage. He's going to use his fast repair, it looks like, right there. So Huck Wigington saving his fast repair here till the final 10 laps to use it, and as the lights are off on the pace truck, he'll get 4 fresh tires, that fast repair, and he'll be back out in the field with only 13 trucks in the lead lap.
He kept it hidden in his pocket, like we talked about before. You may choose to fix some damage earlier in the race. You may see this pay off very well for Huck Wigington here.
Yes, as Tristan Rogers, currently your leader, Dan Matthews sitting in P2, Brian Chu, P3, Kyle Hess, Brady, your pick, still alive in P4, Elijah Brown, P5, Tyler Thurman sitting in 6th, Steve Barnett in 7th, Charles Keller in 8th, Jason Ferguson in 9th, and Jason Stevenson rounding out your top 10. Remaining trucks in the lead lap include Cody Sanderson in 11th, Chevelle Presley 12th, Huck Wigington 13th, rounding out your remaining trucks. Raul Meza is still 2 laps down. He is significantly off the pace, though, and I'm unsure if he'll be able to get back on the lead lap with the 10 laps remaining when we go green.
So if you're out front here, Tyler, we've seen it a million times. Being out front is great now, but you know somebody from behind is going to get that push to get in front of you. Most likely, if you're the leader, what are you doing to prevent that from happening?
There's really not much you can do. I want to be 2nd or 3rd on that final lap, get the run, and make the move myself. And if they go to block, they might end up being turbo. Just you don't want to be, out in front because it's a lot harder to control than in real life when you see these professional drivers make such crazy moves to keep cars behind them. It's a lot harder in the virtual world, especially with the possibility of netcode to make these crazy blocks. So I want to be 2nd or 3rd here. As Tristan Rogers is going to take the field to the green flag, coming up to the Geico restart zone. Rogers is off, and we are back under green here at Talladega. Really great start for Brian Chu. Looks like he has some door side damage. Dan Matthews, significant damage to that right rear on the outside. Not a great restart as Elijah Brown will move up to 3rd. Haven't really talked much about Elijah Brown tonight, but he is there.
And that's just the way Talladega works sometimes, especially these super speedways. You get somebody that has either, lay hidden in the back of the field, and they start to emerge as the race winds down.
Elijah Brown is going to push Brian Chu to the front here at Talladega down the Alabama Gate super stretch. Kyle Hess is going to be 3rd on the inside, as we're going to have Tyler Thurman on the outside by his lonesome with a great run, but he will probably stall out here coming off the pole.
Now, Tyler, tell the viewers at home, are you lifting when you're pushing somebody and getting off of them?
Right here at the front, Brian Chu around by Dan Matthews. Kyle Hess involved. Keller's involved as well. Thurman's involved. Chevelle Presley. And the field wrecks as Keller flips down the front stretch. Just a tragic incident there. Oh, and Huck Wigington hits him as he comes back up the track. Huck Wigington's day may be over as well. He may have just blown his engine, and that is an unfortunate end to Huck Wigington, who just used his fast repair, and Keller, while flipping, just comes back up, as we'll see the replay there. Brian Chu gets turned in front of the field, and Keller up immediately and does a barrel roll down the front stretch. Very reminiscent of super speedway races of old. Huck Wigington trying to get through, and it's just unfortunately Keller comes back up and he is just a victim.
I didn't catch it up there. I don't know if the truck in the top line came down to the lower line or if that was another push gone wrong there.
I am uncertain as well. Tyler Thurman involved when Chevelle Presley came across. It looks like Presley will make contact inside wall. We'll see a better view here. No, it looks like Dan Matthews comes up and collects Brian Chu, who just gets pushed by Elijah Brown, and nothing really Chu could do, and nothing really Brown could do as Chu was just sideways in front. And 34 and 86 there of Kyle Hess and Ferguson just pile in, and Keller tried to go around the outside. He is along for the ride, and hopefully he is not in VR. So we'll see, unfortunately, what happens to Huck Wigington here. Already used his fast repair. It looks like he might get through. He's slowing down significantly, and Keller's just flipping up there, and Huck tries to go up, and just an unfortunate end for Huck Wigington.
Yeah, if you're Huck, you're coming through there. You're kind of expecting, at least, looking at it on the replay, you're expecting that guy, even though he's spinning on the lower end of the track, to hopefully he's holding his brake. He may have been. Momentum may have carried him back up. Sometimes, you try your best to keep it down on the apron of the track when you're there and hold a brake. Very unfortunate for Huck, who just used his fast repair, who may have had a chance with a nice clean truck. Now that's just really down the tubes for him.
Yeah, as Jason Stevenson and Kyle have both taken their trucks already behind the virtual garage. They are officially out of this race. Not many trucks left. Not many clean trucks were left. Are we going to see a repeat of Michigan here? Or are we going to have two trucks duking it out to the finish here at Talladega?
Yeah, and back to what I was saying earlier, Tyler. Are you lifting or are you dragging the brake?
At this point in the race, if you're not saving fuel, it's dragging the brake. It's a better way to control so you don't get run over. Earlier in the race, you're probably lifting, conserving fuel. Everyone shouldn't be pushing it. Some drivers voicing their discontent with how that race has ended. Obviously, emotions are high, frustrations are even higher. Run this race for as long as these drivers have been at it. Having it come to an end like that is just absolutely infuriating sometimes when you had no way of going about it.
I don't think any of the, especially here at Super Speedway like Talladega, Talladega in particular, anytime we've raced, you start the race off with, I think most guys with a huge smile on their face. When you get down to the last few laps here, I would say 75 to 80% of the field is angry and mad at least one person that may have ruined their night.
And that is as very true as these trucks are about to come down pit road and try to get any remaining damage repaired, or maybe they have a set of tires to use or top off the fuel if they haven't earlier. But just a very frustrating race for a lot of these drivers. Tensions are high, emotions are higher, and like you said, everyone loves to race super speedways, especially on iRacing, but no one loves being involved in the wrecks that always happen. So it's always a frustrating race.
We see a couple trucks hitting pit road here. With the, you may be able to count them on one or two hands on who actually has clean trucks or even a chance to win here. As we see the 26 of Tyler Thurman head off pit road with his look like IHOP truck. If you coming down pit road to fix any type of damage you have is a no-brainer. You want as many clean fenders in front that you can get. You want your pit crew to hammer them out, do what they can, get you back out there, and like you said, you still have a chance with 6 laps to go to be a winner of this race, depending on what kind of actions take place up front.
And it's hard to tell if the Pace Truck's lights are off or not with just how few cars left. It looks like the Pace Truck's lights are off. We will be going green this time. Tristan Renard is currently your race leader. Field that is getting thinner by the lap. Running second, Elijah Brown, Steve Burton third, Cody Sanderson fourth, Jason Ferguson fifth. It looks like only 4 trucks are currently off of pit road. It's going to be interesting. Brian Chu on the lead lap has come off of pit road, looking to rejoin the pack that's in, looks like 3 and 4. Looks like Tyler Thurman running below the yellow line. And as I'm looking at the running order, it looks like there are 8 technical drivers on the lead lap, but it looks like some of them are going to be a lap down as soon as we get back underway. That 38 truck up front is listed on the lead lap, but he's just technically in front of the leader, so that's why he's there. Looks like he'll be controlling the restart. Unfortunately, iRacing timing and scoring sometimes gets a little bit confused, and our race control has guaranteed the drivers he will clear all the necessary black flags, as it looks like they're going to let Matthews and Presley kind of get out ahead of this pack and get clear, as both of those trucks are actually the lap behind the leaders. So Rogers, your leader, sitting there third on track. Very few trucks left in this. We'll see how it plays out here, but Rogers going to be stuck behind the slower lap trucks of Matthews and Presley. And that'll give Barnett time to catch back up and get all these other trucks get up to speed, as clearly some of these trucks have damage, and it's holding up the field that are actually on the lead.
Yeah, I'm not sure how happy Rogers is going to be with being the leader, but then having right away to deal with a lap car that's obviously, he wants to stay out front, maintain that possibility of getting back on the lead lap if a caution comes out, but I wouldn't be a happy camper if I was the 85 right now.
Yeah, as the 2 trucks leading that inside line are a lap down, but those trucks on the outside line are not, and they're going to the front as Elijah Brown and Brian Chu with Cody Sanderson in tow. That outside lane is coming.
Yeah, you got the 54, Brian Chu. He's been knocked around a couple times, but every time he finds his way back to the front, as he if he slides up here, he'll have some help as the leader of the outside line, maybe get pushed to the front if they can get organized here.
As it looks like all the lead lap cars have moved to the outside lane, except for your leader, Elijah Brown, who is drive down in bottom in front of that lap car, Chevelle Presley. So you have the leader on the lead lap right there in that bottom lane. Then you have a lap car in the 44, red and blue machine, and the 54 is technically in second. But you have now this outside line with Cody Sanderson, who's looking for the lead. These drivers are really struggling to navigate the 2 lap trucks, 3 lap trucks, as Tyler Thurman's there, in this pack of about 8 trucks. Only 4 of them are actually on the lead lap, so it is quite frustrating for some of these drivers, as Dan Matthews, one of the lap trucks, is getting dropped from the field.
Now the 85 on the top has got some clean air. He can move down. That's kind of where he wanted to be at the get-go. He navigated through those 2 lap trucks, and although out front of the bottom row here, he's going to have to do create some magic to keep everybody from behind him.
The first 2 trucks on the bottom row are on the lead lap. That is Tristan Rogers and Elijah Brown. The first truck on the outside row is on the lead lap. That is Barnett, ahead of a lap truck from Tyler Thurman, followed by Brian Chu, and then it looks like Cody Sanderson. Those 2 drivers are also on the lead lap. So you have a lap truck in the second lane, the second in the outside lane, and the last truck in the inside lane are both a lap down, kind of confusing these drivers as we're coming to 2 laps to go here at Talladega.
Not just confusing the drivers, but confusing the commentators as well. You did a great job of clearing that all up there, Tyler. Good job as you see some slower cars farther back in the field trying to catch back up and probably hoping for a caution here with 2 laps to go.
If I'm Tyler Thurman, maybe I'm making a deal with Barnett on the leader of the outside row, being like, hey, I will push you to the win. I'm a lap down. I am out of it. As we have a lap and a half here left at Talladega. Barnett to the outside, trying to get in front of Elijah Brown and Tristan Rogers on the inside, as those 2 are nose to tail. As it looks like the field is trying to figure them out. Maybe Chevelle Presley's going to get dropped here, the lap drop. Brian Chu is now moved to the bottom on the inside lane. You have lead lap trucks, the first 3 on the bottom and the first on the outside. That red truck in the back as well on the lead lap of Cody Sanderson. But those three are pushing hard as we're trying to get the white flag for one more lap around this Talladega Superspeedway.
Yep, Brian Chu definitely the third truck in that bottom lane. I think he's just looking for his opportunity to pop up to the top lane and push his way to the front here. We'll see what happens.
If you're Barnett, you got to find maybe someone else to go with. It looks like Tyler Thurman does not have enough to push you clear. Elijah Brown pushing Tristan Rogers all he can, maybe to push them clear so he can make a move to win this race. Brian Chu there waiting for maybe chaos to happen and sneak away a win. As they're coming into 3 and 4 for the final time, Sanderson goes a little bit loose. He looks to be out of it for now. Brown and Rogers pushing each other on the bottom row. They are clear of that outside row, and they are no longer clear as Barnett had a great move. Brown looking to make a move on the outside of Rogers. He looks low. He looks high. Barnett's going to have to side draft if he wants to make a move, and at the line, it's going to be Rogers by a little bit more than a nose, and that was a very, very tight, close race as they're going to wreck across the finish line and into turn 1, but Tristan Rogers is your race winner.
Congrats to the 85. He held it down there. Maybe that outside line should have side drafted a little bit more, forced them down the track a little bit maybe. But here you go, 85 took the win on this second recruitment race for the NASRA NRE Power Systems Truck Series.
I think we all need a drink of water and to take a deep breath after how exciting those last few laps there were. I mean, Jeff, if you're Elijah Brown or Barnett, is there anything you felt you could have done differently to get around Rogers?
Not really. I mean, like I said, maybe forcing them down and using that side draft a little bit to slow them down. They look like they had a run on that outside line, just didn't use the side draft to their advantage. And at that point, it's just a drag race to who got the little bit better momentum, and the 85 had it.
As we're trying to pull up our final results here, as you said, Tristan Rogers taking the win by 1/100th of a second. Steve Barnett finishing second in that 24 machine. Elijah Brown third. Brian Chu fourth. And Cody Sanderson rounding out your lead lap trucks in fifth. Fergie Ferg will finish sixth, first truck 1 lap down, followed by Tyler Thurman and Chevelle Presley. Those two were in that group there at the end. Dan Matthews 2 laps down. Raul Meza also 2 laps down. Huck Wigington finishes 3 laps down. And with that, I believe I have now gone 2-0 against the booth in driver selections. We'll hopefully be able to continue that streak next week, but it's been unfortunate as none of our drivers will finish in the top 5 tonight. Keller sits 12th. Kyle Hess, Brady's pick, finishes 13th, is also his teammate. Jason Stevenson 14th, and Brian Crocker rounding out your top 15, but he is 14 laps down.
William Rice took the 16th spot, Jonathan Wiley 17th, Curtis Rogers 18th, John Paul Larson finishing 19th, Scott Patza 20th. My pick, CJ Fonda and his Ghostbuster scheme ended up in 20th. Robert Breen in 22nd, Joseph Schneider in 23rd, Ronnie Derrick coming in 24th, 26th with Michael Gardner, 27th with CJ Moon, 28th with Anthony Reiner, 29th, Max Bryant, and I'm not sure if 30 on back. Yes, they did take the green flag. 30th was John Trecton, 31, Adam Collins. These guys, actually, from here on back, did not take the green flag, so that's your finishing order for the second recruitment race here.
Yeah, and just kind of, again, another chaotic race here in the recruitment races, but not one I'm necessarily surprised by, as it is Talladega Super Speedway, a track that just really tests you as a driver, both mentally and even physically, with how tight you're gripping that wheel, hoping to not get involved in the big one. As we saw tonight, there were many big ones.
Absolutely. After last week, I kind of was expecting maybe some of this, but have a handful of cars on the lead lap. Like you said before, that in the truck series, the finishing being, what is it? I think you said 7/10 of a second is the closest finish, or the
largest gap. Yeah,
yes, the largest gap. And you know what? Even though it was those 5 or 4 cars that were still on the lead lap at the end, how exciting was that finish?
It was extremely exciting, and we saw these drivers, really kind of beating and banging and side drafting and being really aggressive, and almost paid off for Scott Barnett there at the end. He just couldn't close the deal, but fantastic race for everyone involved, and just a really, really, really entertaining race for us tonight.
Absolutely, and I believe we'll try to get some interviews with the podium finishers here momentarily.
Yeah, we're just waiting on, I believe, Elijah Brown to get in here so we can do a couple of these interviews. Um, and also once we get Brady back in the booth as he tries to organize it together. But I think while we looked back at the race, and it was just kind of just chaotic, and that's what I said in the opening, and we saw it coming. Chaos and just unpredictability screams at Talladega. It's just a very tough racetrack to find yourself at the front at the end, especially when you're racing with guys that you may have never raced with before.
Yeah, and very rarely do you get a Talladega race where you're gonna have a field of clean trucks. This is almost, you hate to say it, but you expect this, especially with a group that's not familiar yet with running week to week with one another. This is gonna happen, but like you said, it's Talladega. It's mo. What are you gonna do?
Exactly right. There really is not much you can do. And we're just trying to make sure we have everyone in correctly before we bring them into the booth. But hopefully, we can look at a couple of these chaotic moments throughout the race, and really, it kind of was very energetic and very aggressive from the get go. We didn't really have a lot of waiting around. The drivers really made their way to the front, and we were kind of surprised to see that so early on.
Yeah, it definitely did seem that way. Seemed like guys were not content at all with getting into line and just running green flag laps. There may have been some in the back, but they would get taken out after wrecks mid pack. It just seemed like everybody wanted to get to the front as fast as they could, as soon as they could here.
Yeah, and we talked about that as like multiple people have different ways of racing these tracks, and personally, I like to run up front because it never really goes well. So when you run in the back, it seems like you get caught up in more of a disaster. So um, yeah, it's a lot more difficult racing than people give it credit for. But hopefully, we can get these guys here in the booth. Looks like we're still waiting on Elijah Brown, but we'll go and we'll just start with our second place finisher, Steve Barnett. Um, as we race today, there was a lot of chaos, and we just want to make sure we get Steve Barnett up here in the booth. And Steve, it was a very chaotic race. Oh, exited the chat on us, but Steve, it was a chaotic race today. Again, keeps exiting. A little bit of a difficulty. Steve, you got us? Steve, you got us? Well, while we're waiting for hopefully Steve to figure out any technical difficulties, we might pull up the race winner here, get him in the booth, and try to talk with him. Tristan Rogers, you got us in the booth.
Yes, sir.
Tristan, I mean, absolutely chaotic last few laps there. Competing with those lap trucks, how difficult was that for you kind of navigating who you were actually racing and who you weren't?
Yeah, it made it a lot tougher. I had to push my teammate while I could until I could get an opening, and them guys they come pretty quick. So I had to wait until I had my opportunity to make a move. But that was some great racing. Probably the best racing I've ever been in.
Definitely an exciting finish, Tristan. What was your mentality heading in race? Was your goal to get to the front early on and try to stay up there? What was your game plan heading into this one?
Actually, I didn't qualify, and I had planned to ride the back for the first couple of stages. Just feel everybody out since this is our first, super plate race, and I got to looking around, and guys were just kind of cruising, taking it easy. So I figured that was my time to make up the most spots, and it worked out. Me and the 31, I know we ran most of the race together, and he was great, especially when it came to pushing. He did an excellent job.
As you were coming out of four, I saw Elijah trying to get around you. What was your game? Or are you just going to hold it to that yellow line and hopefully Barnett was going to kind of keep his door down on Elijah and he couldn't get around you? Or what was your game plan coming off of four, coming around that tri-oval and, Talladega having that finish line way further down? a little bit more difficult?
I had my teammate in my ear the whole time telling me stay on the yellow line. And yeah, I had thought about moving up to try to block, but he was already there and he had so much momentum. I basically had to drag race him to the end.
Yeah, 100th of a second separating you and Barnett there. Just an absolutely
Wow.
exciting finish. A very, very close race. And he was getting his support from a truck who was a lap down, and Tyler Thurman. Were you guys talking with those lap trucks in the driver chat, asking them, hey, will you push me, or can I work with you, or can you get out of the way? How was those conversations?
A lot of it really was just confusion with the last couple of laps because it was telling everybody to pass the pace truck except for me. And of course, I got black flagged on top of that. But the biggest thing was just trying to figure out where do we go from here. We got those guys in the way. And Dan, he had some momentum, but I couldn't stay behind him. So I had to do what I could to push him out of the way and just make a hole. Thankfully, it worked out.
Absolutely. Congratulations on the win, Tristan. You did you found a place to go and it was to the front and crossing the finish line first. Before we let you go, is there anybody you want to thank?
Absolutely. I want to thank all you guys for making this happen. I thank Nazra. This is 2 weeks now that I've been up in the front and had some really good racing. And I hope you guys can keep doing what you're doing. I think you've got a really good thing going. And I hope to be part of more of them in the future, for sure.
And
I
I know
just
we're happy to have drivers like you here, talented drivers who just love to race and competing up front. So again, we want to say thank you so much for coming out, and congratulations again on winning that race. Just really great action there down at the end.
thank you guys. And I do want to thank my teammate. He stuck with me through it. He got me to the front a couple of different times. I want to thank Dan. He helped me out a lot tonight. But yeah, that was some great racing. And I look forward to a lot more.
Yeah, and we should have more for you next week. Again, thank you, Tristan Rogers, and congratulations. Hopefully, we can get Steve Barnett now in the booth. Steve, you copy us. You got us, Steve? Steve, you got us?
I hear him queue up here. Unfortunately, it sounds like he's having some mic issues. He did have a beautiful number 24 Bush Light patriotic scheme that he was able to hang in there and push to second place. Just unfortunate. He's back in here. We'll give him one more try. Steve, you got a copy for us?
He's having some headset difficulties. We'll pull in Elijah real quick here, our third place finisher. Elijah, I mean, a crazy race there at the end. You were stuck behind Tristan Rogers. You really couldn't get around him. Was it just with those lap trucks up there, just kind of making things a little bit more difficult for you?
Well, no, not really. I pushed the lap truck to the lead, and my plan was originally to just like stay in the back, and yeah, so I didn't know that was gonna happen. Really, yeah, that's all I gotta say. It was really just chaotic and just unpredictable, and I didn't know what was going on, so I just kept on racing.
And sometimes that's all you can do. It looked like you were trying to make a move there on Tristan at the end, but it looked like Barnett may have kept you down. Was there really anything you could have done, or were you just kind of boxed there in at the end?
I was boxed. I was gonna like plan to go up high until I saw a car up high up there. So I didn't want to cause a huge wreck. So I just stayed behind him, tried to push him to a win. I think I did push him to a win actually. Yep, I did. And yeah,
Yeah, he snuck one out by a 100th of a second, 0.014. An absolutely
that is
crazy finish at the end.
yeah.
Elijah, congrats on the third place finish here. Coming to that
Thanks.
coming to that last restart, there were two trucks through some confusion that were a lap down. What were you thinking when you saw that out front, and what was your thoughts as you came on that restart and had to see that out in front of you?
Well, my first thoughts were slow down. I know there's gonna be a huge wreck. And my second thoughts were black flag because those two cars obviously were like a lot slower. They had damage. that's when I thought it wrecked. And then I had a black flag for well, I guess passing the pace car and iRacing had a glitch. So I just thought it was gonna be chaotic.
Yeah, well, thankfully we were able to get most of those black flags cleared, and you guys were able to race really competitively there at the end. Again, a absolutely amazing third place finish, and surviving all that chaos was huge. I mean, how did you do it there at the end?
I don't know. I just raced. I was really focused. I just kept on doing what I had to do, and my main focus was to not just get into a wreck and just stay in the back. And that just happened.
Of course.
Well,
And before we let you go for the evening, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Um, I well, not really, but I would like to thank the guy that hosted this race because this is a really great race and one of the best races I've ever been in, to be honest. Yeah, that's pretty much all.
Well, we look forward to having you hopefully joining us in the NRE Systems Power Truck Series, Power Systems Truck Series. And again, congratulations on a great finish tonight. And we hope to see you in the future.
Hope to see you soon, man. All right.
And that was our third place finisher, Elijah Brown. Steve Barnett may have figured out his technical difficulty. We're going to try pulling him in one last time. Hopefully, we can get everything figured out. Steve, do you copy?
I copy.
Hey, we figured it out. Steve, I mean, just a really chaotic last 5 laps there. The lap trucks being in the way, a lap truck helping you to that second place finish where you just missed out on 0.01 seconds. Is there anything you could have done differently there?
Yeah, probably could have went down for the side draft, but I was at a 16X, so I didn't want to make any contact.
Yeah, our race control, Brady, was telling us that you were at that 16X and you were a little bit worried about, you didn't want to get the 4X and trying to avoid the DQ. Did that really change your mindset in the last 30 laps of this race?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was nervous from getting hit from behind or anything. All those X's came from other people running into me, and so it was pretty nerve-wracking.
well, you pulled it off. Having that over your head towards the end, sure. Probably you were probably worried, like you said, making any contact. After the second stage, what was your plan as far as attacking the third stage? Did you want to, with the wrecks that were going on, was it in your mind to head towards the back and let other guys wreck out? What was your mentality there?
I gambled. I stayed out. I stayed out when everybody went in, and I got down to 1 lap left with fuel, and then there was a crash. Came back in, refueled, and was right at the front, and was good for the rest of the race.
And with racing the way it was, I mean, those lap trucks, did you kind of talk to Tyler Thurman behind you and be like, hey, can you push me to the win? What were the conversations with those lap trucks like?
I was more worried about the ones up in front of us that had a ton of damage and couldn't keep up with the pace. And I guess the truck behind me, I didn't know he was a lap down, but appreciate him pushing me up to the front.
Well, it worked out for you. Pretty impressive, actually. I feel like with the 16X being able to pull out a second place finish. Before we let you go, is there anybody you want to thank tonight?
No, not really. I'm just out here having fun.
Well, we appreciate drivers like you coming out having fun, and we hope to see you in the future in the NRE Power Systems Truck Series once we get our regular season started. But until then, we hope to see you guys a lot, especially at these recruitment races. Definitely a driver to watch in the future.
Yep, thank you guys. I'll be back for sure.
Thank you. And with that, we have concluded driver interviews here in the NASR 360 Racing Network booth. Just a very competitive day, kind of a hectic one. Jeff, any final thoughts on just a very chaotic Talladega race?
Nope. Like we talked about before, it was to be expected. The guys got to come out here and get a feel for what may be in store for the future. Talladega is definitely going to, knowing how the seasons are put together, Talladega is most likely going to be on that schedule. So it's good practice for them. Start figuring out who can do what. and we look forward to these guys. The ending, although it was a couple cars, it was really exciting and actually was really some good racing. And looking forward to seeing more of it.
Yeah, and Brady, if you're still here with us, any final comments as the league director?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was actually a decent race, for the most part. I know we started off with over 30 drivers and we ended up with maybe 8 coming to the line there, but that's just typical Talladega or Daytona. It's kind of most people say it's a crapshoot, but it's all about survival. And congratulations to Tristan Rogers for surviving, and Steve Bornett. We figured out that he was worried about that 16x, so that's why he really didn't want to side draft too hard right there and get disqualified. So congrats to the top 3 tonight and everybody for showing up, and hopefully we get some guys that want to join the series and continue on with us.
I agree. Some of the talent out there tonight, and other guys who we saw like Brian Chu. Hopefully, we'll see him back as he was a real entertainer in that 54 Monster Energy truck. Uh, so hopefully, we'll see a lot of these guys back in the future. But for now, that'll do it for the NRE Power Systems Truck Series Recruitment Race number 2. Again, I would like to thank our wonderful producer Cody Knott, keeping us all together and grounded and keeping this thing running smoothly. And again, I'd like to thank my booth mates Brady LaBeouf and Jeff Sickles for helping us call another entertaining NRA Power Systems Truck Series Recruitment Race here at the Talladega Super Speedway.